Good morning, and thank you for being with us this wet, very wet Saturday morning. I am Alero Edu, welcoming you to Sunrise.
The word actually is cold. Am I Makinde? Good morning. And
he's having his cocoa. Well, stop slurping.
Well, please, I'm in Lagos. Okay. When I get to, where's that place again? We'll do what? This is Rome. Oh, sorry. This is, yeah.
You seem very confused this morning. Well, it's the effect of the rain, right?
It's cold, right? It's cold.
Yeah, it is.
Rain all night.
And the rain was heavy this morning coming to work.
Bringing to mind, again, the $10 bridge.
It brings to mind, excuse me before you continue on $10, it brings to mind the state of roads in Lagos. Sorry, Lagos State.
Okay, so what about Lagos?
Oh, God. I mean, when it rains, it just shows up Lagos. When it rains. Oh, the potholes are in relief. And then the traffic that arises from you falling into potholes. And then roadworks that have been abandoned. It's, oh...
This is not to say that the work that governments at all levels are doing isn't appreciated. It is. The only thing is, there's that thing that they say that a little leaven leavens the whole lump. So the good job that is being done is soiled by the little ones that are...
Remember that saying that one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, but in this case,
it really does.
When it rains, it's only the bad ones, it's only the potholes that you see.
It just reminded me of saying that what the president said when River State people visited him. We'll get to that in the course of time. But you talked about those roads and all those things. Two things are at play here as far as I'm concerned. Number one is the role that government is supposed to play. Number two is the role that the people are supposed to play. In most cases, when floods happen, I'm wondering where is it coming from. This road was...
We take a lot of blame there because we are the ones who clog up the drainage. The drainages so that the water doesn't flow.
My exact point.
Yeah.
My exact point. But in areas where there is we didn't do anything, like the $10 bridge, for instance, the one side is fully flooded, like the rain was just saying, yeah, bring it on, bring it on. The bridge was saying, bring it, I'll collect, bring it, I'll collect. That's the way it looks, right? But on the other side, it's free flowing, and it's the same bridge. Right, so I'm wondering, why that is. I left home quite early, so I saw a car, the one they call Muscle. Mm-hmm. It was literally, like this.
Is it Toyo?
It was just literally crawling on the road, and big trucks were zooming past,
splashing like water on everybody.
I feel humbled.
Well, go get yourself a truck then.
Well, that's exactly what I did. So I just shunted around him and just, went, because I saw another one.
I wonder if Ali Baba still has his truck head.
Oh, he definitely does. He definitely does.
The last time I saw it, it was purple in color.
Well, you never can tell.
So that even a blind man can see it coming.
That's one thing they say about entertainers. Sometimes they can't make up their minds about themselves. Anyway, so federal government, I think because it's a federal road, the road is 99% complete. And interestingly, there's a road walk to inward CMT. After the $10 bridge, outward Lagos, inward CMD, there's a road walk that is going on to get under the $10 bridge.
Okay.
There's a road walk that is there, so it's not too far away. Could you please clean it up? Clean up the drainage so that it doesn't happen, because it's really horrendous. And you know what's also interesting? Oh God, if you pass under that bridge, with that water clogging that place, the water that will be landing on the ground, if it lands on your car for too long, you will need to visit the panel
beater. It will make a hole.
You will need to visit the panel beater. That's how strong the thing is. So why is there flooding, please?
And then Lagos State, Lekki Ekpe Expressway is in a state of disrepair, especially at the traffic lights, the potholes at those junctions. And then it looks like roadworks in that VGC area have been abandoned, and the amount of traffic that it causes every day for those who live in that neighborhood is horrendous, especially now that the rains have decided, okay, we're going to do some overtime right now.
So I guess that's a call up on Lagos State, government. Come out, let's at least give us an. For me, I don't really have a problem when things aren't going the way you expect it, but please talk to us. For instance, I just mentioned the Telela Bridge. Outward Lagos or inward Lagos, the Long Bridge is the one that connects Lagos and Ogun States, at least so some people believe. It's also like that. The drainage seems to have issues. There is no river under it, so it's plenty
Where is it draining into?
Or not draining into.
Okay.
Maybe that is okay. It's another collection point for the rain. And the traffic backlog, the potential danger and injury to the roads. Please remember how much we spent on that road. It's plenty of money.
Yeah.
Right, so please, give us some explanation. I'm very sure that government is not just learning that these things are happening.
And the new Minister of Works, there was a video in the course of the week, I wonder if you saw it, where he was openly chastising a contractor. And said, you should be ashamed of yourself,
He said that, and I was shocked and pleased. And he called him out, literally called him out. Okay, you know what? I will help you. This amount that you have collected that you have not worked for can carry.
But the balance.
I assure you, you're not going to get that one.
And the president said in the course of the week that we had no business being poor. And I thought, well said, Mr. President. So, what are we going to do about it? Without power, how can small businesses come on stream, and how can they be sustained without power? We have no business being poor. We agree.
In fact, we know. We don't just agree, we know.
And then the Minister for what's it called now? Natural resources.
Solid minerals.
Solid minerals was telling the whole world yesterday that yes, that's going to be the next oil for Nigeria. So Nigeria has had this oil money for years and years and years, but where is it going? You can't see it on Nigerians. Like you see Saudi money on Saudi Arabians.
Well, it's the same way. One of the issues that we raised with the governor was when you are doing infrastructure, you can see it. But when you're doing water infrastructure, you can hardly see it because water infrastructure is always buried.
Well, at least you at
least you get the water.
Residents who are saying we have water in our houses.
Yes. See,
there's no water.
What you said about poverty figures. It's not just the figures, it's the reality of so many people. I was having a conversation with a colleague in this organization in the course of the week, and I'm saying, look, why don't we do a story? Why don't we investigate the North? Why don't we have, more than 50%, no, put it better, I think it's 50 or 60, more than 60% of the poverty figures in Nigeria is right there. In the North. Why? It is unreal. It is not right. What's the nature of the people's lives? We have a political class there. We have elites there. We have religious leaders there. So why are people living so poorly? And in the course of conversing, I realized that there is a possibility that the figures are actually lying, that it could be worse than the figures say.
And it could be better.
It could be worse. I have been to Maiduguri. I was in Maiduguri more than 10 years ago. more than 10 years, maybe about 15 or 20 years ago, what I saw at that time was horrible. As far back as then, I saw fuel being sold in 20-liter kegs on the roads, less than a kilometer apart. Fuel on the roads, more than 20 years ago in Maiduguri. So, what's the reality now with the figures? So, when the president said we don't have a business being poor, I agree with him. But there is a conversation that needs to happen. You mentioned the Solid Minerals Ministry. There is a conundrum there. It's an irony. The Land Use Act, or whatever it is collected by the state government. The land belongs to the state. You need governor's consent. Does the federal government collect governor's consent before they mine what belongs to the federal government under the land? I don't understand it. So that conversation needs to be had.
As they stay on the streets, ASCO.
I'm still confused. You say solid minerals that belong to Nigeria, they are on the exclusive list. Thank you. The land is on the concurrent, it's on the concurrent list, belongs to the state government.
State government.
Thank you. So, where is the conversation happening? Or is the conversation happening?
Confusion.
Exactly.
Confusion, Natago.
A husband and wife married. The land belongs to the husband.
The house belongs to madam. Wife. So who get them? the two, both of us.
The house is not on a wheelbarrow. That you can say, okay, remove your house and go. Remove your house.
Carry your house.
It can't happen. So I'm still confused. So when the president said that, what I'm looking for, and I've been talking about this partnership between the federal and state governments for a long time. What needs to happen is that conversation, that collaboration, that sustained cooperation, so that the people themselves can actually have the benefits directly from their states. And the political class needs to have conversations with themselves. The president said, if we don't have a poverty being poor, we agree. But it cannot be done by the federal government alone. Remember when the former president said...
I don't even think it can be done by the federal government at all.
Exactly.
Because they're not the ones who have contact with the people.
Thank you. The former president was saying at a broadcast, I think it was in 2019 or so, that we're going to pull 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years.
How?
For me, what I said at that time is what I'm still saying now. And he said then, in partnership with the states, has that conversation ever happened?
And local government, because they are the ones who have direct contact with the people. Even
though the state governments are saying that those are just administrative offices, but that's beside the point. So,
you know, this local government talk will go on for a very, very long time.
It'll be dealt with.
We don't see what they do because they're not allowed to do anything.
The Constitution is very clear. So when they are saying they're administrative, whatever, I don't understand what they mean. But there is good news. Good news. A pre-colonial project is being revamped and hopefully will save our roads. The Lagos-Kano narrow gauge for moving loads.
Oh, cargo! The cargo thing that was launched 2 days ago?
That commenced operations, but don't forget it was the previous administration that actually started. I think it was in 2021 that the former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, was saying that there is a reason that they opted for the narrow gauge for the Eastern Rail Line. It's what exists between Lagos and Kano. They said that the Lagos-Ibadan has started, will move something more than 200 containers from the ports.
When it's fully operational, about 270 actually.
Something. So,
yes.
And then they're going to extend it it's going to be in the narrow gauge. It's cheaper and it's just for cargo. Great. Hitherto, it was for moving economic and industrial development. That's what it was for pre-colonial in Nigeria. Please bring it back. Save our roads. In Jesus' name.
We've started already, so that's something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
We can't wait for the three lanes, or whatever they are, to be completed, so that they'll move containers out of Lagos port, and that would help save our roads. All those containers on the roads, the way they fall off and all that, and kill people.
And insecurity will reduce because
kill
some of
people.
them. Well, that's it.
The fall of flyovers, and at one point we were told that they were not supposed to go on flyovers.
For a long time. Anyway, where were we?
And the issue of power. National grid collapsed again on us, collapsed on Thursday. And that brings up the question again, why do we have a national grid to start with?
Can we go to the menu?
If Ayo wants to supply power to Magodo, why can't he get a license to just supply power to Magodo?
It is, who says he can't? I can't supply
Okay,
power.
they said, okay, since this president came on board, he says that the states can now build their own power plants.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you,
Let's.
Lord. Yes. What are we talking about on Sunrise today? We're going to start by talking about Tinubu's government. 100 days and counting.
Interestingly, I think the 100 days fell on that day of the judgment. Anyway, stemming grid collapse.
We have to talk power if our country has to move forward.
Yeah, most certainly.
And then International Identity Day. What is that?
Well,
one full day to celebrate identity?
Yes, yesterday was International Democracy Day, so... Well, you'll learn what that is about, and then we'll talk about lifestyle, healthy habits for youths.
And then we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment, and all I can tell you is that he's a very interesting he. He is a very interesting he.
Every time you say he like that, I resist the urge to say, are you talking about he goat?
a man.
Yeah, mon. Please grab a cup of cocoa.
Or cocoa,
and
as you prefer.
And we will be right back to start the show. Have fun.
Burokini is here. Make way, make way, make way. Make room for him. Make room for the King of Glory. kábíyèsí bọ́rọ́kọ́tọ̀ ògo.
Thank you for staying with us, and we hope that you will be there till the end of the program. So, elected on the 1st of March 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said his top priorities are improving Nigeria's economy, creating jobs, investing in agriculture and technology, tackling insecurity, and addressing corruption. Yeah, I mean, regarding that last part, I'm sure many of you who are watching now will say, oh, we always hear that they are addressing corruption and they're fighting corruption. And in the end, nothing gets done. The government, the current government becomes more corrupt than the one before it.
You know what the normal thing that happens is when you are in a fight, there has to be two people fighting, right? Not beating. They weren't beating corruption, or fighting corruption. In other words, corruption will fight back.
Okay. All right.
When you are beating somebody, the person will not respond.
Okay.
But
his manifesto, Renewed Hope, aims to outline his plans for Nigeria's future development and growth. So, he has been there for just over 100 days, but we will look at the first 100 days of Bola Tinubu's government. And to look at this with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Olugbenga Adeoye, lawyer and chartered accountant. Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. We also have the founder, Nigeria First Initiative, Ezekiel Etuk, who is joining us via Zoom from Uyo. Good morning, Ezekiel.
Good morning. A pleasure to be with you.
Good to have you with us. Let
Thank
me
you.
start with you. In a nutshell, how would you assess 100 years of Tinubu's administration?
in 100 days.
Years
Oh
or
my
days?
God, 100 days. I apologize. 100 days in office.
In all honesty, one word: confusing. But he didn't want one word. Confusing in the sense that if something is bad, you know it's bad. If something is good, you know it's good. There are certain bright lights, certain areas I'm very happy with. Coming from the background of the past administration where the Mr. President was, to be very honest, extremely docile, and coming to have somebody who is hitting the ground running, who is moving, who is doing things, who is active, who is, doing things, it's reassuring. It's like a breath of fresh air. That's on one hand. On the other hand, there's a lot of conflicting signals. I can't see a clear path after 100 days of where he's going, of how he intends to get there. I've looked at his cabinet, it's mixed bags. I've looked at his policies, it's like break and quench. Certain things very good, certain things quite opaque, certain things difficult to understand. I wish he would just settle down. Maybe he's bothered by the sort of, no other president has had the sort of election that he's had in terms of how, quite competitive he's been and how very unsure we are what will be the ultimate aim. But if he had strategic thinkers, I always use this word, this would have been the 100 days where he will move Nigerians to his side by being extremely decisive. And maybe as we progress, there are one or two or three things that I think that concept of emotional intelligence is not coming in, and he needs it like yesterday.
Okay, Mr. Adeoye, before we go into the details, what are your thoughts in a nutshell?
Well, just like my friend and architect said over there, it seems Tinubu has something in mind that he wants to do. And judging from his speech the first day, he has a good plan. But the next thing is to see how we're going to get to that destination. But so far, I could see that from the attitude of this administration, it's an administration that is ready to make changes where mistakes have been made. For example, ministerial nomination, withdrawal, portfolio change, and so on. And the other thing is that he has also taken a bold step to look into what has happened at the central bank. And of course, looking at the makeup of the cabinet members that will be looking into the economy. So you have Wale Edo, a great professional who can deliver. And now you have the new CBN acting governor that has been nominated, Yemi Cardoso, also an investment banker. So I believe that with those cabinet members, I can't speak for all the ministers, just like he said, break and quench. You have some of the guys that are in the list that I would say this is for political patronage. But you also have the professionals. But from what I know about Tinubu, he is likely to have some more special advisors that will help him to deliver. And so what we want to hear from this administration are as follows. Number one, how are we going to improve our power generation so that we can have electricity? And you have to give timeline and say, in the next 180 days, this is going to happen.
Sorry, before we go into the nitty-gritty, my apologies, because those are details that we'll be, really delving into. But there was something very critical you mentioned now, and perhaps that's why Mr. Yetok also said he talked about confusing. Let me ask Mr. Yetok first. Mr. Yetok, when you said confusing, the word that came to the understanding that came to my mind is, of course, the mixed reactions that people get or people gave to each or either of the initiatives of the federal government so far. But what I would like you to address as a politician is how significantly politics or politicking affects selection of appointees, such as ministers, SAs, heads of MDAs, and governance, the real job that needs to be done. I'd like you to speak to that, understanding, so that people will at least have a fair idea. We're not making excuses, but you are a politician. So help us understand that. What happens in such circumstances that people need to understand, at least know it, even if you don't sympathize, but at least know that these things happen and they could have an impact on governance or not?
Yeah. The very first thing is that you must know foundationally that politics is a game of interest and that winners must be allowed the latitude to savor their victory. That's the very first thing. So when you have been given a platform, I'm contested to be a governor. When you are given a platform by the party, you didn't win on your personal. No, as a matter of fact, in Nigerian politics or Nigerian elections, individuals don't win. Parties win. The tickets belong to the parties. So when you become eventually the president or the governor, the party expects that it is, that Emilio concept, it is their turn to also, number one, contribute to saving Nigeria on a national scale. Number two, get the benefits of being in power, which incidentally or unfortunately is number one. On account of that, you as the elected official must have that wisdom to call your party in-house and say, look, guys, thank God we are here. It's our turn. Pop them up. We're going to have to enjoy. We're going to have to do our best. We're going to, you reassure them. Then you tell them, government is so large, it is so wide, so that we are going to accommodate you in these other areas. But please, what I had in mind to do, please, I beg you, these 41 people, out of the thousands and hundreds of thousands of opportunities, these 41 people are my engine room and my cabinet. Let the party allow me that latitude. Now, what you want is to be comfortable. There are jobs, there are openings, there are lots of things. You can have them. But for these people that are my engine room, I want to get the very best. That's number one. You won't succeed. Number two, you take a maximum of 10 ministries that are no-go areas. You may take education, you may take works, you may take power, you may take energy, you may take, housing, healthcare. Just about, of course, you talk the coordinating minister of the economy, that's finance. Take about 10. Those 10 out of 48 are no-go area. You bring in the brightest and the best, and then you pacify with others. There's an expectation that you must meet, but there's wisdom that you must apply.
Question, Mr. Yetok, because you said the other time that even in the appointments, there's a bit of confusion. And a good number of people agree with you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you very well.
So you said, when you started out, you said, even the appointments are a little confusing because they're a mixed bag. That's the understanding I'm trying to get you to communicate to people. Yes. There are some people, even though they do not qualify, I'm just thinking that because of what you said, it's a game of interests, and some people may need to be pacified because of their political contribution to the victory of the party, as you said, and all. Even though this person doesn't qualify, there are better people, but those other people didn't contribute anything politically to the victory, and consequently, they do not deserve that accolade or privilege. But those who contributed, they need to come in. So is that the kind of thing that happened? That even if the person doesn't qualify, because of his political contribution, he is factored in. Does that happen?
It happens, but it's about communication by the leader. There are people that never took part in the election, but governance is two parts. In fact, governance is the main thing. Politics is the engine that brings you into the room of governance. For you to have the next election to be easier for you, you need to perform so well. And there are certain people that are gifted in certain areas. For instance, if I want to, appoint a central bank governor, I'm going to look at the very best person that can do the work and explain to my party, please allow me this latitude. But then you quickly compensate by giving them lots of things. There's a Yoruba adage, I'm told, I don't speak Yoruba well, though I lived in Lagos for 30 years, that the man that does not want you to eat, when you are cooking your food, cook his own, so that while he is eating his food, you can be eating your food.
The only thing you want to consider in that regard is your budget. Let me ask you, Dr. Adeoye, I'm speaking to that. A good number of people, you would have had your own opinion about the appointments. I'm talking about the generics before we now go into the specifics, so as to manage the expectations of Nigerians.
Okay.
People don't care who you appoint. Get the job done.
Yeah.
That's what we want. However, at the end of the day, it will be important to, at least for Nigerians, to have an understanding and consequently manage their expectations so they don't expect too much and get too little, and again now say, that is government for you. That's what they always do. So help us understand.
But I think, taking it from where the architect stopped, I recall I had a meeting with him sometimes in Ikeja, and we were discussing about governance. I believe that in all political parties, you also have your best brains. And so what I think leaders should do is to ensure that we don't have problem with you bringing politicians into your cabinet, but pick the best brain.
The ones who can deliver.
That can deliver from your party. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that in all political parties, whether it's APC or PDP or Labour Party, there could be people that ought to have been picked, but for certain reasons they were not picked. Not because they are not intelligent, not because they don't have the right experience. And so, as much as the people, they are concerned about who you are putting in charge of anything, it is the duty of our leaders to ensure that even when you are doing political patronage, you must pick among the best brains.
But do you think the party members, the party oligarchy, the party system, structure, whatever, will understand? 36 states, 774 local government areas, all of them have political party members. They contributed, no matter how little, to the pool that produced the results that won the party the election. So how do you communicate that? Because expectations are always high that why are we not getting the return on investment, so to speak?
So it's high time we also change our focus when it comes to politics. Politics is supposed to be an engagement that comes from patriotism, that you are concerned about the governance of your country, and then you have joined a political party, and then you want to get into power so that you can deliver, as against the principle of return on investment. Let me speak as an accountant now. We know that whenever you put money in any venture, you are expecting returns. In fact, we pay attention to what we call the period of your return. So some people want their return in 4 years, some want it in 1 year, some
want it in 100 days.
In fact, some want it in 100 days. So it is now the duty of the president to sit down and say, the people that comes around you, over time. Those that are coming around, the Yorubas, the Ekiti people, they call them, I don't know how to interpret, Uajeliwa, the people that are coming around you only for what they can eat. And so, one principle the leaders need to adopt is to say, we want the best brain, people who have made impact in their career, who are not actually looking for money. As a matter of fact, taking up appointment for such people should be sacrificed to the country. Like Obasanjo brought Okonjo-Iweala to the country. Yeah. There was an issue about the salary she was earning at the World Bank, and Obasanjo insisted that this woman must be here. And then he needed to talk to people. They need to factor certain things about her salary. So I want the government to bring people who are okay, who are doing fine, people who take up appointments because they want to serve the country, not people who are looking for money. And that's why when you look at the recent appointment, I think I'm comfortable with a number of them. You're bringing Zach Adeneji, a professional accountant, first-class material from Ife, to as the acting chairman, who will eventually become the substantive chairman of FIRS. Brilliant guy, young as well. As against for you to go and bring one man that is, supposed to have been retired. So these are issues, and I believe that from what we know about Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos State, we must not make the mistake of thinking that when Tinubu was governor, he was a younger person. And those people that worked with him at that time, they were also young people. The likes of Oshibajo, Yemi Cardoso, Wale Edo, and the rest. Now, if you check the age bracket of these guys now, you have 69. Some of them are 68. They are now old. So the kind of energy that you're going to expect from them is not going to be the same as it was at that time. Yeah. But that does not in any way reduce their intellectual capacity. Yeah. So I expect a more mixture of youth in the cabinet that we have Bosun Tijani and Edu, the other lady. So I think
a few of them actually.
A few of them. So we actually need more, actually, so that the president can now sit down and say, guys, this is what I want. How are you going to do it? 90 days, 180 days, this is what we want. So, and then his appointment with the army chiefs also clearly shows that he understands the dynamics of balancing appointments.
Okay. Ezekiel, Dr. Adeoye brought up something when he was talking. He brought up the issue of patriotism. And I picked on that because I'm thinking patriotism in Nigeria. I mean, people always quote Kennedy. don't think what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. But the Nigerian always says to you that my country hasn't, remember, I don't know if you recall Obasanjo's time when that question was asked all over Nigeria, you know, about what people would do for their country. And most of them said, but Nigeria hasn't done anything for me. Nigeria didn't even pay my school fees at primary school level. My parents had to do everything. So why should I be thinking of what I can do for Nigeria? So the issue of patriotism is something that we need to look at critically and bring on board deliberately. Well, what do you think?
You see, we had a meeting sometime back at Transcorp, and I was talking to some people. I didn't know that Madam Okonjo-Iweala was directly behind me. And she turned and said, Ezekiel, what did you just say? I turned and she was the one that said, in a nutshell, I told the people that I owe Nigeria, that I owe Nigeria. If you know the story of my life, I came from the village where my mother sent me to her mother in the village, my grandmother. Ikotepene was the biggest city I ever knew in my entire life. I was a typical village boy. You wake up 5 a.m. to go to the street, you carry firewood. That's who I was. And from nowhere, in a way that till tomorrow I cannot explain, I gained admission to Federal Government College, Warri. I knew nobody. My father was a primary school teacher in the village. My mother used to sew in the village market. I had nobody. I knew nobody. But the Nigeria I knew took me from the village and took me to a school that was rated the best in West Africa and the 9th best in the Commonwealth. And I am who I am today on account of the foundation I got from Federal Government College, Warri. Look at me today. People celebrate me, my housing man of the year, my lifetime achievement. If Nigeria did not give me education, I'll probably be a palm wine tapper. Now, even to my own children, this story sounds like, Daddy, come on, wake up. Which Nigeria, this one or which one? Even my children, our children don't have an idea of this Nigeria. I had a Nigeria where you could open the public tap, and water comes out. We used to go and fetch water in pump, carrying pail. That's the language then. We used to have light. That was the Nigeria that we that are in control of the system today. We have so easily forgotten where we came from. We have so easily forgotten the Nigeria that gave us what we have today. Those that were from a free education of the Awolowo days, they are the people in power today. What have they done to education? They've destroyed education. And then patriotism cannot be legislated. It cannot be legislated. You must give the young people reason to believe. Look at what they did for the first time. They tried to come into election and, gingered, and Nigeria happened to them again. We are now hearing these sort of stories. So the young people, before now, they did not know Nigeria. They needed a country, so they created an alternate country called Niger for themselves. So they brought about Niger Jams, Niger Fashion, Niger Nollywood, Niger. All those things were done by young people without an input from the president or from the country. That is why when our sister, the former NAFDAC lady that became the Minister of Finance, how can her name skip me so fast? When she tried
Dora Akunyili.
Dora Akunyili, thank you, God bless you. When she tried to bring the young people back to say, leave Niger, it is Nigeria, they roundly ignored her. And Niger has come to stay. So a vision leader will now think, what sort of strategic plans do I have to merge the two countries, to give the young people reason to believe? Today, the fastest way is technology. And what is happening? You carry a laptop, the police clamp down on you. What has this country done, the present administration, to know that the way of the future is ICT, and then they just move into ICT like the new oil and give our young people wings to fly.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, the young people don't have a country. Nigeria is not their country. They don't see Nigeria. They don't believe in Nigeria. Nigeria has never happened to them positively. So it is a challenge for us to be able to bring about patriotism. We need to tell them we care about you.
Well, very, very interesting perspectives there, but I'm pretty sure you have your own thoughts on that as well, Dr. Adeoye, but we're running out of time, so let's see how much of our conversations that we can take. Some of the initiatives that the government has initiated, my concern really is the long-term thinking of any government. Part of the things that the president said when he hosted a delegation from Rivers State, by the way, he said something interesting and funny. Said that there is a Yoruba proverb that you don't sleep before the judge, but that saying has been reversed at the last judgment. But that line, one of the things that he also said was that we can't continue blame games. I picked that to be someone who is willing to take responsibility even for things he didn't do. Because that's the way it sounded to me. Because at the end of the day, today you are the president. Whoever was president yesterday doesn't matter. And that's the rhetoric a number of people have picked on, because I've had people raise that issue and all. There's a lot of groaning in the country, there is no doubt. There's a lot of pain, a lot of anguish. Food prices aren't smiling. So many things have gone wrong over the years. But in terms of owning the issues and looking forward, that's one thing he also said. Let's stop looking back. Let's start looking forward. In terms of forward-looking at the initiatives that have come from the presidency, at the federal level and state governments as well, how forward-looking are those things, 100 days and counting?
Well, I think it still borders on patriotism. That remember that Mr. President said that he asked for this job. And I don't think there is any leader who will get into office and will be happy that the citizens are not happy. Will be happy that people are in poverty or there's no power, the grids are collapsing. He's not going to be happy about that. But having said that, he also needs to do regular review of the activities of the people committed to handle affairs in the country. And so when you have this type of a country where volatility is found almost in every sector, power, education, everywhere is volatile. In fact, human beings are volatile. There's tension everywhere. When you started, you were talking about the waters on the $10 bridge and so on. And our water will be splashed on you. So when there is volatility, it's important for regulation of the current from time to time. And so what I see this government, if they want to succeed, do is, number one, to put an eye on all the ministers. And if you don't perform, you must not waste time to fire them and get them replaced.
Do you see that happening?
I think it's going to happen because immediately after appointment, when you look at the list of people that were sent to the National Assembly, those guys that were dropped was because certain details got to Mr. President. And then I can tell you Buhari would not have done that.
Yeah, but what about those who have EFCC charges?
What they call baggages.
Yes, and they're still in position.
I'm a lawyer, and so if I want to speak as a lawyer, the person is not guilty until there is a pronouncement by the court. But of course, if we want to discuss morality, you can say, oh, certain persons should not have even come near you. But then that's not what we are discussing today. We are now discussing about how to move Nigeria forward. Remember, Fashola made a statement. I think maybe your station, I don't know. He said, politics or politicians, he said they are not saints. And I remember one of my cousins in UK now, and he said to me that a time is going to come that corrupt Nigerians will wake up and say, look, enough is enough. We don't need the money again. We don't want to be corrupt. We want to do what is right. And then they will begin to deal with their colleagues who were in the same gang with them before and say, oh, I said to you, no more corruption. Well, you think it's going to be business as usual. You pick them up, deal with them, fire them, suspend them, sack them.
So you think that time has come?
Yes, that time has come. And I see Tinubu, I was telling people yesterday, I said, I don't think Tinubu is looking for money. I don't think he needs money. He just wants to prove to us that from the Afenifere days and the rest, when we take charge of Nigeria, we will move it forward and you will see development. Unfortunately, they met a terrible situation. Of course, coming from the same party. And so you don't even need to do blame game again, because if you blame the last administration, you are blaming your party. So what he's saying is that, look, we campaigned for this job. We know how tough it is. Now we've got to do it. And I'm praying that you will have the boldness to deal with any erring members of the cabinet.
Mr. Yeto, I'm going to take you back to the young people, because whether it's Nigeria, the physical one, or Niger, the virtual one, whichever one it is, because I understand that there's another virtual world now where people buy land that they cannot touch, and I don't understand that yet. But how do we communicate ownership of this entity called Nigeria? You know what I find very interesting? Every Nigerian is extremely proud of Nigeria, but at the same time disappointed in Nigeria. It's ironic. Well, so now, of course, that's what it means. Once you talk about Nigeria, you're talking about the government in most cases. But people are very, very proud of the entity. Now, the challenge is with government, not governance, but government, the people who do it. Speak to the location of youths in the different states and the signals they receive from Nigeria through the states. And how do we begin to communicate to them that they don't need to just complain about these things, but actually take ownership? Because sometimes you are not given, you literally have to take.
You know, the very first thing, the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Now, we run a system where Mr. President is almost the alpha and the omega. The thing I have in my mind is I pray that he has nothing against the young people. Because if he does, whatever we are doing is a waste of time. But if he is favorably disposed to the young people, even if he doesn't know what to do, there are many of us that will tell him 1, 2, 3 things to do. Number one, please don't say it, do it. That's number one. Don't just say it, do it. In fact, do it and then say it. If somebody believes this guy is not going to give me anything, watch and see. The man comes to you and the first thing is, oh my guy, how are you? Well, I have a little present for you. He gives it to you. It just changes your mindset. It's like, wow, what do the young people want? They want sports. They want ICT. They want entertainment. What is that first engagement that Mr. President says, as far as ICT is concerned, as far as sports is concerned, as far as entertainment is concerned, that is the way of the future. The young people have made this country proud on account of all those things, and we must invest in them. Number two, they want job creation. Within that context, I have the 7 fundamentals of social governance, and fundamental 1 says social governance is a bottom-to-top approach to governance and development with the primary objective of bringing the people out of poverty. Invest in MSMEs. Invest, that is where the young people are. Harvest them. Invest heavily on them. All these palliative things that you are doing. If you had turned to say, look, the young people, I want to make sure that you start to have a home. I want to make sure they have a job. The young people, this is your turn. Just like you talked of Emilokon, you now say it is your turn, young people. And let me tell you, I'm called the National Youth Headmaster. You know what the headmaster does? He carries a big cane to whip you to line. Then you now say, young people, whether you like it, you don't like it, you must do it. I have come for you. Here I am. Once you give that animation, Dr. Adeoye will tell you, we work together so much. And he talked about bringing people who are passionate and patriotic to be part of the system, if not the main drivers of the system. The moment that our president is willing to think that way, there are hundreds of thousands of people that are just waiting for him, and they will just give him the sort of support that, leave these old people alone. Leave us, the old, November 1, I'll be 60. Leave us alone. Concentrate on my children and my children's children. My grandson just turned 6 years old on Wednesday. And then we are the ones that you are talking about. Leave us alone. There's something called arrested development. If up to 50 you do not take care of your life, leave them alone. Concentrate on 50 and below. Face them. They are those that will vote for you. It's even politically expedient. So that's my advice to Mr. President. Look for the young. If there was one post I would advise, I've never accepted any appointments in my life. There are 2 appointments that I will apply and beg to get. One of them is national orientation. The DG, that place, that man, whoever the president is, should be funded. Get somebody who is loved, somebody who is passionate, somebody who is believed. Leave politics alone. If Mr. President is serious, the DG, National Orientation Agency, let that agency report straight to the presidency.
Interestingly, Mr. Nyetok, now it's not just the Ministry of Information, it's the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. So we can say that that function has been promoted, so to speak. But you haven't spoken to the states. What roles they have to play about this?
Let me tell you what happens. The moment the president takes, governors, I'm sorry to say this, we are expecting dogs to meow or cats to bark. These guys didn't come in for service. They invested so much, and they've come in, like Dr. Adeoye said, for state capture. But we, like Channels is doing now, can continue the advocacy, and they will buy into it. So the states need to know that their youth should be their top priority. Priority 1 should be the young people. The governors should do that. And when you have a president who looks that way, you have a national orientation agency that looks that way, our politicians are follow. Before you know, every governor is starting to talk young people, youth, young people. Let the president take the lead. Trust me, the governors will follow. And then the social media will, social media no get boundary again. No. Once the social media starts to happen to you in your state, bros, you go change. No matter how tough you think you are as a governor.
Thank you, Ezekiel. Now, we've got to start winding down. So, Dr. Adeoye, what is your final word on this? 100 days and counting of Tinubu's government.
So I think looking at what they have done so far, it's more of policy. I want action. And my suggestion to the government, both federal and state, is to say we have 36 states in the country plus Abuja, that's 37. Can you go around all the states and have an incubation hub for entrepreneurs, young ones, 1,000 human beings, and say, what do you want to do? And then focus on the comparative advantage of their location. So if you are in the Northwest, we're talking about having a ranch. If you are in the Southwest, you are looking at technology, commerce in the Southeast, and so on. So go around, let's have a database, and then let's look for funds. Put them in an incubation center, innovation, entrepreneurship, and then you fund them. And you will see in the next 20 years, when you look into Nigeria, we'll be like China.
Ezekiel? Your final thoughts on this, please?
Dr. Adeoye has hit one point that I just couldn't agree more. No, that's number 1. Number 2, have that mindset that the future of Nigeria is the young people, number 1. Number 2, have that mindset that the only legacy that you can leave behind, my President Tinubu, is for Nigeria to know that this is the man that sets the foundation that realigns the young people to themselves. Number 3, don't be afraid of whatever the tribunal will say or will not say. Even if you have 100 days, let that 100 days count. Forget the tribunal, forget politics, put your name on the sands of time, and posterity will remember you for good.
Ezekiel Nya-Etiuk, founder, Nigeria First Initiative, who spoke to us via Zoom from Uyo. Thank you very much. We had in the studio a lawyer and chartered accountant, Dr. Dugbenga Adeoye. Thank you both very much for your thoughts this morning on the 100 days of Tinubu's government. Thank you very much. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.
Adverse is solving a lot of problems for us. It is centralizing all the information.
Adverse has helped us concerning the preparation of results. Adverse has also helped us to have our database.
The fact that we can analyze data, so I know children's performance according to gender. I can access my financial information, who has paid, who hasn't paid.
I would recommend Adverse to schools, big or small schools.
Use Adverse today.
What are you waiting for? Use Adverse. Come on now.
Visit www.adverse.net/free demo to book a demo.
Thanks for calling Bastion HMO.
Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were about health insurance until I tried Bastion HMO. I got a healthcare plan that's right for me and my family. I have access to top quality healthcare services and facilities. We also get access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics. Call 0800-BASTION, Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
Hi. Now let me tell you about Safari Valley Eco Resort, the first of its kind in West Africa. Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary.
We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park.
So many activities, all in the same premises. Visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife and how to interact with them.
They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have here.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Politicians make lofty campaign promises, but do they really fulfill them? Are you worried about the quality of governance? Do you know how to hold your public officers and politicians accountable? As a Nigerian, do you even know your rights? Many questions begging for answers, but don't you worry. We've got you covered. We bring you Democracy 101 in 5, your reliable and easy-to-digest guide on citizens' rights, government's responsibilities, rule of law, holding government accountable, and all things democracy. Democracy is more than elections. The real essence of democracy is what plays out after the elections. Democracy is about making government work for you. Watch Democracy 101 every weekday at 7:55 p.m. and Sundays at 8:55 p.m. on Channels Television. Democracy 101 in 5 is an initiative of Yaga Africa with support of the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, FCDO.
Take it from me, the mind-blowing way to do things is the Glow LTE advanced way. When you stream, it's like you're in the drama itself. When you make calls, you reach where others can't. Cookie! Doing business is like running Wall Street from your street. And when you play,
I did beat the guy.
We'll see about that.
It's like traveling the world without moving an inch.
Is that Toby in your room?
You can download in the blink of an eye in 4K.
Go.
And when you go for your dreams, it's like running with the strength of 3 nations behind you.
Glow LTE Advanced, the power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
When no waiting kill him, Papa. That same thing go kill him. Hey. You are welcome to the next level. When I look up, now commotion. When I look down, now frustration. When I look at my side, now to reach the top, now connection. If you look at person, now stagnation. When I look my side, now okay. One day, our Niger go good.
That's the idea, make Nigeria better. And that's our next conversation this morning, stemming this grid collapse thing. You, of course, know that there was a power outage, nationwide power outage for about 10 hours the course of this week when the national grid collapsed due to a fire. Well, this grid collapse thing has happened multiple times in recent time, and the latest outage on Thursday affected all of Nigeria's 36 states and the FCT before electricity was restored in most parts.
You mean there was no power in Aso Rock?
I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know. Okay. But at the time that it collapsed, somehow, some spots in my environment had light, so yeah.
Okay.
So, in fact, at the time the power grid thing was going on, I was a X space conversation ongoing about the same thing. Power generation fell to 0 early on Thursday.
0.
And had risen to 273 megawatts by 10:30 GMT, well below the average
273 for 200 million people.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Nigeria has a 12,000 megawatt installed capacity, but produces about a quarter of that. The president has promised to improve supply by allowing state governments to build their own power plants in a bid to help spur sluggish economic growth. This is also made more prominent by the fact that the Constitution now allows that to happen. Hoping to have 2 gentlemen have this conversation with us this morning, but at this time we have Dr. Monday Ashibago with us. He's a development policy expert. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
I also happen to know that you've published a magazine called Energy Watch for some time. So you will have to bring all of that to bear in this conversation. Particularly, so there are a number of issues. One, we're talking about this electricity grid. The previous conversation, this grid collapse, the previous conversation said that if we're going to get anything going economically in the country, power has to work. Micro, small, and medium enterprises, one of which, you've also worked with them, you know the challenges that they have. They remain the largest employers of labor in any economy, but their major challenge is infrastructure, chief among which is electricity. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, rural electrification projects have been on in the country for a while, and the AFDB is also talking about some $250 million for rural electrification, which is not something new. But talk to us, first of all, about this first idea that a number of people have. The entire electricity industry is cumbersome and confusing. Too many agencies that we don't even know what they're all doing. Why can't it be just as simple as what happens in telecoms? We have NERC, we have NEMSA, we have bulk purchasing, we have all kinds that I can't even list.
Transmission company, you have distribution company, bugwe.
So help us understand the industry as much as you can.
Well, one who would have been an expert to speak on that would have been Dr. Amadi. But I would say...
and we're still hoping that he can join us before the end of this segment.
I would just speak from my own point of what I understood when the government was unbundling the National Electricity Power Authority.
NEPA.
You know, NEPA. It was just one big monster we couldn't deal with. And the reasons why you have too many agencies today and different companies, the entire objective was for efficiency, to have things running very, very well. So you could reach out to just one person and get something solved. Now, the Electricity Regulatory Commission was there to be the watchdog. It's always been there to be the watchdog. So I expect that they will do that. Though we have some reservations about what they've done lately. There you have different components. You have the generating companies, you have the transmission company, and you have the distribution company, and then you have someone who has to settle everybody, the bulk trader, that aggregates funds and says, okay, you as a Genco, this is what is due to you, and for you for transmission, this is what's due to you, and for the person who is going to deal with...
Hold on. The bulk purchasing aggregates what? The monies?
Entire revenue.
Yeah.
There's a table for revenue sharing.
Okay, if I was in Ikeja, for instance, and I was paying to Ikeja Disco, you mean the money I pay doesn't go to Ikeja Disco?
It goes to Disco. Disco is a distribution company.
Okay.
Right? It's Discos manage the end users.
Okay.
Right? You don't have any business with the Genco. You don't have any business with TCN.
Okay.
You don't have any business with the supplier of gas or the guy who is managing the dams. So the man who generates electricity, for example, Kainji. Kainji is interested in, say, I'm giving you 1 billion naira worth of electricity. And Kainji may be giving electricities to about 10 discos. We have 11 discos. So Kainji will distribute through the transmission company that has its distribution area, its control area somewhere around Osogbo.
Okay.
And then you say, okay, I'm giving this guy 400 megawatts, I'm giving this guy 150 megawatts, I'm giving this guy 200 megawatts. And the disco can also have the right to say, look, I don't want 200, just give me 100. And at the end of the day, a bill is sent. Right? The job of the bulk trader is to receive the funds from the disco and pay the TCN what is due to them, and also pay the Genco what's due to them.
Okay.
And then the core shareholder of it is the government. So government also would also get its own share of it.
Its own share of the funds.
But sadly, that's not the case now.
Oh.
It's interesting that, it still goes to the same confusion. So what steps the previous government, I think in 2015 to 2019, the minister in charge of the power sector at the time said there is a need to renegotiate the entire conundrum because it was perhaps as cumbersome. So on the one hand, people talk about electricity being privatized, and some people are still saying there are some, of course we all know that there are certain segments or sectors of the entire industry that is still under government authority, and there are some that are under private sector control and all of that. Help us understand that arrangement. What's the prevailing situation, and how has that contributed or not to the state of power supply?
Sadly, a lot of people do not also understand that power generation is a security component. Apart from the fact that it will help infrastructural growth, it will help in activities of businesses, it's a security issue as well. You don't leave the entirety of your power to just outsiders and every other persons. There are certain parts of it. Okay, imagine there's a power grid, total collapse as we have seen lately, and it's an element of sabotage, and the country is, on the brink of war or something. So power is a part of the national security policy. But what we've seen lately is investors are getting wiser, so are also intervention agencies, because we have too many policy swings. So what they do now is to, have watertight agreements with the Nigerian government. That also puts us in some positions where sometimes you find clauses that may look very outrageous. We've had that also with the power sector. There was an agreement when the energy sector was being unbundled with the World Bank and other intervention agencies on the kind of funding that would come in areas of development, in areas of putting in meters, in metering, in transformers, in changing the grid networks, in upgrading the infrastructure. And the government on its own part had its own responsibility to play. Government was supposed to, at every milestone, meet up with certain forms of financial commitment to the DISCOs, to TCN, to also the GENCOs. But that has not happened in the past 10 years. And so, sadly, as it is, if you have that and you don't meet up to your own part of the agreement, what happens is that those who are bringing in funds will be reluctant to consistently do so. And then you would also face the issues of the forex risk that we have today. Some of the investors have dropped their licenses. Yola, we had the case of Yola dropping their license. Benin had its license, the company that was managing Benin Electric had its license revoked. Now we have a new investor for Abuja Electric. Something is not working.
But doctor, Nigerians are craving electricity.
Simple.
So
how it comes is not our business.
The investor dropping their license it's strange. It's astonishing. Because Nigerians will pay anything. Anything they tell us to pay will still be cheaper than us buying generator, maintaining generator, and fueling generator. So we are hungry for power. Why would any investor decide not to set up a power?
The dilemma comes from distribution. The DISCOs have been crying over time. One, you have the challenge of metering. To compound matters, the prices of meters are going up every day now. They've just approved the increase. So I would ask myself as a tenant or as a landlord why I would want to go and buy a meter for well over 100,000 naira. Right? And I'm not guaranteed, regular supply of electricity. Now, the thing is, the DISCOs believe that if everywhere is properly metered, we have a prepaid scheme, people would pay. But we also have the issue of the crazy bills and outstanding bills unsettled. We have a humongous amount in billions of naira owed by individuals and corporate entities and governments as we speak today to DISCOs.
But
and sadly,
it's the DISCO's fault.
No, it's not. This is one of the things you inherit when you unbundle a public company. Now, sadly, the government is as notorious as the individuals and public entities, private entities that are indebted. Go and check the bulk of the debt on DISCO's balance sheets. The government accounts for over half of it. And so, if you need to develop, you need to that money, a larger chunk of it needs to come into the coffers of the DISCOs. For them, you see, you can't say...
What intervention, my apologies, what intervention do you think can help with that one?
Well, there are a lot of interventions. Right now, there are a lot of interventions. Some of you are aware that the government in the previous administration signed an agreement with Siemens, and they have some form of contracts to improve on generating and also distribution of electricity. So we're looking at one. You need also to upgrade all these transformers. You need to also upgrade the supply system. You have poles all around the whole place. That's another risk.
I was talking to the administrative end that you talked about, the monies that are stuck and all of those things. What kind of intervention can I know that there has to be some kind of
give what you don't have.
House committee.
You don't give whether House committee or Senate committee. What you have a talk at the end of the day. Do you have the money to pay?
Why did they take?
Do you have the money to
why
pay?
Did they buy
you are still owing. You are still taking more power from the same person you are owing, and you are regulating the person.
Well, I remember the case.
No, let's look at it. The street lights will be paid by the government. The ministries, departments, and agencies will pay for electricity. The military will pay for electricity. We have barracks. We have public buildings that are consuming electricity by the minute.
And they don't want to pay.
Their bills are being sent to them.
But they don't pay.
And then they pay as they deem fit. Sometimes it takes the discos to disconnect them. And ironically, when you disconnect them, what do their CEOs or heads of agencies do? They bring in humongous, mammoth, big generators to their premises, and you know what? Give someone contract to supply diesel. So the truth
they
is,
can afford that,
yes,
but they cannot afford to pay their bills.
The truth is, we need to be responsible. That's the truth.
Okay. Now, let's speak to these other interventions, such as the one that the AFDB is talking about. You talked about Siemens the other time, and we've been having that conversation for eons.
AFDB is for rural electrification.
Okay.
Right? You see,
but shouldn't we even review?
The Yardware
just a second.
Almost closed down that agency.
Just a second. Shouldn't we even review what we have done in that sector, the rural electrification, projects over the years?
Just review the entire electricity gamut, and you find that it's very scandalous. You get me? If you listen to the amount that has been put into that sector, you would scream.
Well, we know that during Obasanjo's time, it was $16 billion.
And more is still being turned into that sector. The thing is, if we are responsible and sincere enough to say, okay, this is what exactly we're doing in a particular area. And I think another thing, again, we're dissipating energies in too many places at a time. If you want to focus on, say, 4 cities at a time, but what happens is that, because there are also some political considerations to this, the moment the funds come in, everybody wants electricity in their village. I would want to. If I'm the Prime Minister, the first thing I would do, I tell you, I would make sure that my village has the best electricity grid first. I'll do that. That's what I'm just telling you, and I'm not very repentant about it. It's what would actually endear my people. Yes, and that's what is happening today.
Yeah.
So once we have 250 million rural electrification, right? Now that I found out that the money is coming from the AFDB, I can arrange my community and others who will struggle for a chunk of it to get to us. And so every other community in Nigeria will do that in the 774 local governments.
But Mr. Hashipo,
but if you look at and tell ourselves, okay, these are economic areas where we have a lot of economic activities that we can rake in money quickly from this project. So let's give an example. Say, okay, let's look at Bayelsa. It has 8 local governments. The Bayelsa used to be powered by gas by the state government. Now they have Port Harcourt electricity doing that. So in Bayelsa, when you get to Yenagoa, for example, you hear people talk about there's federal light, there's state light, there's also content board light. And they'll tell you which one is consistent. I'm just trying to give you the example of what we experience in a state like Bayelsa. Now, Bayelsa is an economic hub. It's an oil and gas hub. It's also an agrarian place. It's also aquatic in nature. So if you want to say, okay, you want to do rural electrification, and you say, let's choose Bayelsa, for example. Let's look at Akwa Ibom, for example. Let's look at Ondo, and work on those areas first. And say, okay, from the chunk of money we'll generate from this place again, we can move to another 4 states. But what happens now is every state will be part of the rural electrification plan. You will not get any meaningful impact if you put $1 billion as we speak. You know, the amount sounds huge, but I can tell you for a fact.
You need to explain to us more about this rural electrification thing. Is it that it is not going to be part of the national grid?
It is a subset of the national grid, but the way the entire objective of the rural electrification is that the national grid, you know, you have to go through DISCOs, for example, you have to go through Port Harcourt Electric, Benin Electric, Ikeja, Eko, the 11 of them. But in this case, you may be running clusters, closed areas where you can attend to a particular area that has been deficits of this. Now you find high tension cables pass through communities like mine. You know, my village has not seen electricity. We have all the poles and the transformers right now. Yes, we've succeeded.
But no light.
We have succeeded in having transformers, right? And we are an oil producing community, so we also power gas to the national grid. We have a power station that powers the country, but my local government has no electricity. So we've been doing this for 79 years. And so if you start the rural electrification program, we may be under consideration that they could get a step down, a small IPP, to cover that local government.
Because the poles are already there anyway.
They're already there. So, and then you have a mechanism in place to which also you could make them get to pay. But you know, there's also an entitlement mentality in our environments. Like for those of us who come from oil-producing communities, we don't owe you anything. We don't believe.
On the contrary, you owe us.
Yeah, you owe us. So why should we pay for electricity in the first place? You're taking the gas fee and all that. So there's that mentality. So when you eventually fix this light for us, we are not likely going to pay.
Oh, well, it's very interesting that you put it that way, because
no, I'm just being
even though I understand you, and that's the general understanding a good number of people have.
By the time you
just a second,
the villages, we are not paying.
Okay, so
we've been in darkness for over 80 years.
And you guys, those people that you talked about, also forget that you have the oil. The same way you have tomatoes and so those other things in the ground. Someone has to do the job of bringing it out. You don't have the machines, but the oil is there. You know. Anyway, that's the different conversation. Now, states have the capacity or the legal right
to generate power.
Do you see that as a potential solution? Or another intervention, long-term, that can help?
Any forward-looking governor will take advantage of this, if you ask me. But the question is, who is willing to invest in Nigeria at this moment?
I like what you started with. So let's just a second.
Any forward-looking governor.
Can we stay there? What are the things that they need to do? What are the things? Because you remember that Lagos, they wanted to do it was it Enron at the time.
Yeah.
Lagos, they wanted to do it. But for whatever reason, because it was illegal, there was no partnership with the federal government at the time. So if one state had attempted or had thought about it, and a good number of states are also saying that they are thinking about it now, what are the potential? How difficult is it? How will it work with the national grid?
Some states have been doing this, whether there was a law or not. They've been doing it. Most government houses are powered independently. Find out. There is no state house in Nigeria that is on national grid, except you want that state government to collapse. I say this with every sense of humility. No government house relies on the discos. They have their gas plants, and those gas plants, some of them are connected to even hospitals. Did Lagos power the hospitals? Lagos is powering hospitals. Did they require any law to do that? Sometimes we just play around the law. Yeah, the law is important because it will serve as a guide. It will give you legitimacy to do things. If you are a forward-looking person, all you need to do is to address your problems. Bayelsa didn't need the federal government when they started as a state by powering the state capital with a gas plant. The state was powering the capital for over 10 years.
They were not attached to the national grid.
They were not attached to the national grid. Now they have a national grid that is not even consistent.
I understand that there is a community. Is it Bonny Island?
Yeah, that's a clear example of how to run a system. But why I'm saying this is, you see, states.
But that one is powered by one company, from my understanding.
By one company. That company alone can take care of 10 states. Do you understand?
So why haven't we asked them to do that?
No, that's why I'm saying any forward-thinking governor should look at how you could leverage on partnership. Nigeria LNG, the liquefied natural gas, has capacity to power. It's from the same gas that it's exporting and also generating that is powering the entire Bonny Island. If you have a partnership with it to power the entire River State, they have that capacity. So if you are in partnership with Nigeria LNG and say, okay, Nigeria LNG has capacity to do this. The Nigerian Content Development Management Board powers itself in Yenogwa. It has capacity. If you partner with them, if Bayelsa State is actually forward-thinking, can partner with the Content Board to power the entire 8 local governments in Bayelsa State. All they need to do is to look at the infrastructure that the Content Board has built and say, okay, let's develop from there.
But you also said something about payment. Will the state governments be willing to pay?
That is why I said responsible leadership. The guy who is supplying you gas, you are indebted to him in billions of dollars. It takes a lot of government intervention sometimes for us to have power. If you don't know, go and check the debt of Gencos to the gas companies. Be responsible enough. Pay for what you've been given. When you pay, people will be happy to supply.
Doc, you know this thing when you were speaking about your community, it is not just your community mentality. It's the mentality of the majority of Nigerians. Because we have had too many things for free for too long. Because I remember that when I was young and I asked my father how much we paid for water, I remember him telling me that we didn't pay for water. Some utilities came free. But times have changed. Do you think that with national orientation getting to work and telling us that at the time that we were getting water for free in Lagos, in our house in Apapa, there were only 50 million Nigerians. Now there are more than 200 million of us. So we have to pay for things like water, we have to pay for things like light if we want constant supply. Do you think that can work?
Well, you see, there's nothing wrong in getting anything free.
But they can't give it to us for free anymore.
The cost of why you get it for free.
And the consequence of getting it.
Do you understand? You see, the reasons at that time why most of us got it for free was that we had a very enterprising middle class. And the larger chunk of our parents were civil servants.
Yes.
And they paid taxes.
They were paying taxes. Yeah. It was deducted at source. So it's enough explanation for a man whose salary was 1,400 naira. Where were you from what part of that salary were you going to take that money from? So it was understandable that he's paid his tax. He's done his job as a public servant, and so you could give him free water, you could give him certain amenities for free. You see, as the population increases and the number of those in public service and civil service shrinks, those in private service will have to pay to compensate those who earn less. That's the balance of governance. The vulnerables must be protected. Those who are also not having the financial capacity to meet those infrastructural services must also have access to it as well. That is what governance is all about. So the system must have a balance. The issue is we don't even have, that network, that platform to which you can capture data. And so, okay, you know what? Apapa as it is, Liverpool Road, how many apartments are there? How many people live there? You know, what is the average consumption of water in that place? As we speak, Lagos, we have a very huge water supply deficit. If you, particularly for even the rich, in Lagos, the rich also cry. They buy water to take their shower, to take their bath. They buy to drink, to cook. Everything is, So you look at the three islands, Ikoyi, Victoria Island, Lekki, down Oto Ekpe. You drill a borehole, you're just wasting your time. But that's a huge market for Eju Water Works. You get? But if you have data, you could run pipes around all those places and meter. So the thing is, that place has a larger chunk of people in the private sector. They'll be willing to pay.
Okay. We're fast running out of time. Okay, so now the president has said that states are now free to build their own...
The Constitution actually says it.
Yeah, the Constitution also states it, that they can now build their own power plants. How fast do you think that states are going to take up this offer?
And how optimistic are you that they will?
Well, some states have started, if you ask me. I know some states in the South have started looking towards that direction. If you want investors to actually come to your environment, you would also look towards that direction. It's not only about gas-powered energy. You have those who are also going towards the green energy area. Kebbi, Katsina, there have been people who are building now the solar farms there. So the states can partner with them. But you also look at, despite the fact that the Constitution allows states to generate power, they will be regulated by NEC, and then you will generate, and you have to go through the same distribution channel. So the states will also have to partner. Apart from generating, you need to partner with the discos about generating
to be able to get the power to the end users.
Get the states, local governments, communities everywhere well metered, and not just well metered. Ensure that the distribution system is effective and is not obsolete.
Sorry, Doctor. Quickly, I tried to interrupt you when you were talking about metering the other time.
Yes.
I mean, why should the customer be the one to pay for the meter that does not belong to him?
That's the irony. I've asked myself that question several times, and I ask myself if I'm even normal to ask the question. Because those who set up that rule too, I don't know whether they belong to the same environment with me. But sadly, government has systematically started looking for a way to transfer its own responsibility to you and I.
When I'm moving, for instance, I can't move with that meter.
You buy your pole. I'm just trying to make you understand.
I have bought a pole before, so I understand.
Communities buy poles.
Yes.
We even pay for transformers. I live in an environment in Lagos here where the transformer blew up. We went to the disco. We paid for the fixing of the transformer. And then they came and said the environment is no longer okay. We did the fencing of the place. But if I'm leaving that community, I don't think I'll pay. Nobody's going to ask me to take a block out of that place.
No, you've contributed to national development.
By the time they were giving us crazy bills, I also moved for other tenants in the same apartment where I live for us to have prepaid meters. We paid.
Which you paid for?
or thereabout. The landlord is here to refund that money, and then he sold the house to someone else again now. So that one is here to refund to me. And I'm not sure that I'm likely going to get that money.
No, you won't.
So, but sadly...
And when you move, you cannot move with that meter.
I've been asking this question, the state now has become transactional, not to take up the responsibility.
Well, it's like you're opening another lid in the entire conversation.
No, I just said I should humor you because
we just have to
answer that question. Yeah, I can't even tend to understand why I pay for something that is not mine.
It's very interesting that we put it.
I will leave it.
It's interesting that we put it that way because it is our reality. But let's just hope that at least one of these days we'll be able to sit down and have these difficult conversations and do the needful. Unfortunately, we couldn't really have Dr. Sam Amadi on the program today, but hopefully some other time we will. Dr. Monday Ashibago is a policy development expert. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So when we return, who are you? We'll be right back.
Thanks for calling Bastion HMO. Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were about health insurance until I tried Bastion HMO. I got a healthcare plan that's right for me and my family. I have access to top quality healthcare services and facilities. We also get access to over 1,700 hospitals and clinics. Call 0800 Bastion, Bastion Health, the HMO that puts you in control.
When it's bright and early, get your breakfast right. You need all the nutrients that will hold you tight. Stay in power, you find it all in peak. Every move you make brings that you all the way. And the beat goes on.
Power on every morning with our Peak Protein Breakfast to make the most of every day. Peak. Reach for your peak.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of a family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
MoneyPoint is unveiling a new personal banking app, as well as a card that works. And that's not all. For a limited time, thousands of prizes are waiting to be won during the MoneyPoint weekly games. This week, even more prizes await you. 15,000 people will win 2,000 naira each. The grand prize is getting bigger too. One lucky winner will grab 3 million naira. To participate, download the MoneyPoint personal banking app, set up your account, and fund it. Request for your card and collect coins by using your account for daily transactions. Now, once you've done these, just tap the game banner in the app and spin the wheel. And you could become a millionaire, just like that. The more you transact, the greater your chance of winning 2,000 naira or 3 million naira. Don't miss out. Download the MoneyPoint personal banking app, because it's banking on point. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for staying with us. Well, I didn't know that there was an International Identity Day, but I do know now, because today is International Identity Day. The International ID campaign called for the recognition of September 16th, which is today, as International Identity Day in tribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goal 16.
Target 9.
16,
Target 9.
Target 9, which calls for legal identity for all by 2030. That's in 7 years' time.
Less than 7 years, actually.
The purpose of this day is to raise awareness about the important role identity plays in empowering individuals to exercise their rights and responsibilities fairly and equitably in a modern society. So, having something on you to identify you is actually very important. For instance, if you had an accident and you couldn't speak, you were so badly hit by the accident, people can look in your belongings and be able to identify who you are so that they can inform your family, your people, what has happened to you. That's just a small part, I'm sure, of what having an identity on you can do. But then what do I know? We have the former Postmaster General of the Federation, Mr. Bisi Adegui, to talk to us about the importance of the International Identity Day. Good morning, Mr. Adegui.
Good morning, Sister Lero. Good morning, Naya.
We haven't seen you in a while.
Well, you know, I committed political suicide.
Oh, you contested?
I did that in 2007. I went into public service, acquired public sector experience, how things work there. So I'm well-rounded, activism to politics, private sector to public sector, back to private sector. The experience I garnered and acquired when I was in public sector, the government, we now can leverage on same to better the lives of our people.
Mr. Adegui, by the way, is a lawyer.
Yes, thank you. and a technology enthusiast now.
Enthusiast? Well, they say that's where the future is, so your heart is in the right place.
Thank you.
Yes. So International Identity Day. What is that? What's so big about identity? So I want to carry my IK around to show that I am this person. So
it's actually the foundation of socioeconomic development, inclusive growth, lifting people out of poverty, whether multidimensional or otherwise. Access to land, empowerment of the rural poor, financial literacy, and all of that. But I'll break it down. Who are you? And where do you live? It doesn't go far enough when you say, who are you? They are Siamese twins. Who are you? That is digital identification. Where do you live? That is digital address. If you don't marry both, you are not going to achieve the desired results. So, address is a vital component of identity because it is the last mile. Let me paint a scenario for you.
Many Nigerians don't have addresses.
No, that's why. The good news is that some of us, because of the training, both local and international, I mean, Nigeria spent money on me, traveling abroad there and there. So, we're going to give addresses to Nigerians. Via technology, we have 300 billion addresses that we give to Nigerians, wherever they are.
What about those who live under the bridges?
No. I think there is we don't have up to 300 billion addresses in Nigeria. I
will explain to you.
Exactly. So when you said digital addresses, what does that mean?
We have broken Nigeria into 300 billion, 3 meters by 3 meters grid, each with a unique address encompassing the state, the local government, and a unique identifier. So even under the bridge.
I'm suspecting
under the bridge you have an address.
Just a second. I'm suspecting that is not number 4 Bisiadebuyi Street, Ikotunigbe.
So because this is Google compliant and searchable, once you input it, it will
take you to the exact spot where that person sits under the bridge.
There is address. Well, we'll get to a situation where there's a pothole on your road, you take the digital address of the place and send to the government, like you hire reports, and government will see it. So let me now go into the identity and address, because they are Siamese twins. The poor people, government should do first thing. Government exists for the welfare of the people. Before you cater for a person, you need to know who the person is, isn't it? That's identification. And you also know where he or she lives. That's address. So much of the things we talk about, poverty, depends on access. Access to healthcare, access to education, access to infrastructure, financial literacy. So if you don't have a digital identity, and I don't know where you live, I'm not going to be able to plan for you. Let us take it to the subsidy palliatives. So I want to be practical. What identity can do. In the UK, because of the Russian and Ukrainian war, soaring cost of energy has compelled the government to pay money into the accounts of people to mitigate the ash effect.
Palliatives.
Palliatives. Subsidy. Give it whatever name. Social program. Without a digital identification and a proof of address, in UK it is NI. And it is anchored on a proof of address. They're not going to pay to your account. In the US, it is called Social Security Number, anchored on addresses given by United States Postal Service. In India, it is called HADA. HADA, 90% penetration in India, a country of 1.3 billion people. HADA is a functional equivalent of our national identity number. Give it to Nigeria. When NIMSI started, according to McKinsey report, it was about 20, 30, 40 penetration. But we have over 100 million people now who have enrolled under the NIN ecosystem. Do the percentage, that's about 50%, work in progress. But there is a lacuna. If you don't integrate the national identity number to a particular location and a house, it's like having a relay race. The guy who is doing the first leg assigned over to the second, the third, but you don't have the fourth. You are going to lose the race. So we're going to lose this race or war or initiative to give identity to Nigerians if we don't couple it with the Siamese twins of digital address.
Perhaps one thing that a number of people that you need to help us understand is, in the first place, the whole idea of identity has been it's become traumatic for a good number of Nigerians. You remember that time when we were told to go and register by hook or by crook, and we had timelines and you had deadlines and all those things. So how do we tell people to go back, to go and champion the very same thing that traumatizes them?
It's just planning. Typical of the way Nigeria is. Nigeria is not going to make progress if you do one size fits all. You were talking about power grid to the gentleman that just left. One of the simple solutions is to regionalize your grid. Okay? In the same way that, how can you have 4 centers in Lagos? All they needed to do was to partner with NIPOS that has locations all over Nigeria. In each state, in its local government, as the case may be, spend some money on their decrepit infrastructures, understandably so, because government has not been funding them, have been involved. I know Nigeria inside out. So if you work, I can say this publicly. I paid the former DG of NIMC 2 courtesy calls with a view to decentralizing the NIN registration thing using NIPOS location. You just train our people, put your machines in Oyo, so that the person in Oyo will go to NIPOS in Oyo. He doesn't have to come to Ibadan. The person in Ibadan, there are so many places. Yeah. So if you plan, the same thing is applicable to passports. In the Western world,
the minister is taking care of that now.
So I'm happy that somebody who is knowledgeable about ICT, who is taking that up, Honorable Minister, let them decentralize. Let NIMC, NIPOS, immigration, let them work together. They shouldn't be working in silos. Okay. And then you would have different centers where all of these things can happen.
Okay. There's a lot of data that is spread everywhere.
Right.
You have a driver license. Right. It's data. You have banking details. It's data. Passports is data. Your children are in school, it's data. You work in an organization, it's data. Your supermarket collects your data now for all kinds, and so there is data spread all over the place. You get online to register your email address, it's data. You understand what I'm saying? And we've been talking about harmonizing these data for eons.
It's simple. Let guys who understand the dynamics. And I'm not here to patronize anybody. I watched the Honorable Minister of Interior when he said that there's nothing wrong in you having multiple identifications. But you can have what we call convergence of data. In Ghana, it is just national card. Ghana could do the national card because Ghana introduced national property and digital addressing system. So without you sorting out your addressing system, you're not going to be able to have convergence. You can have a convergence of your passport, your name, your BVN, your digital address, and then everything will be embedded in a national card. Once you put it in a system, it brings out all of this. So it depends on you which one you want to use.
Is it depending on me or depending on what the nation wants to do? Here's another thing.
Depending on Nigeria.
Yeah, exactly, because we have a voter card. Right? Every voter, eligible voter,
with your national card. That's what you do in Ghana.
We're coming there.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about the national census.
Yeah.
And the Population Commission says the national census is the mother of all data.
Good.
So please help us understand how these things can come together.
So Nigeria, what we don't know about, but which we need, we try to avoid it, National MPOPs, National Population Commission, is doing a great job. But they won't go far enough if they go to different houses to count people and you don't collaborate with the private sector organization that can give the houses where you are counting people digital address. So, once you do that, you know, BVN, NIN, they're integrated. If you do national census, as you are counting people, if MPOPs partner with private sector for digital address, you have address there. So you can then have a single card that will be called national card that will take care of all of these things. But it's a process. See, United Nations Development Program said that the future of governance all over the world depends on the partnership between the public and the private sector. The public alone cannot do it. You know why? Constipated bureaucracy. It is the wheel of government drives slowly, grindingly, frustratingly so. But if you partner with the private sector, and I can quote the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his book, Financialism, Drawing Water from an Empty Well, he said that much, that, look, the days of some social concepts are over. The future belongs to collaboration between the public sector and the private sector. The importance of digital identity. Look, Anando de Soto, a popular Peruvian development economist, said that identity and address are so important that if you don't have it, you exist out of the law. And you might as well not exist at all.
You know, I love what I'm hearing.
Even for land access. The same Anado de Soto said that most of the developing countries are poor, not because they don't have assets, but because they have dead assets, which they haven't leveraged on technology to unleash. For instance, you have a digital identity, digital address on your land. A farmer can do that as credit. Banks are not going to give you money today because they know that if you say number 3, Mawami Street to take money, the next day you are off the place.
Because you already told them to not come. But you know, when you talked about technology, I had to go back to something that I was attempting. I needed to travel to Abuja recently. And I didn't want to be swinging out any other identity card. So I was trying to get my national identity card, the digital version. This is it. I have it. But the challenge, yes, it is. Looks nice, right?
Okay, I don't have a card.
This is the national identity card. This is the digital identity card. But sometimes, this particular day, I couldn't bring it up. Technology failed. And I always quote John Zusen, one of my broadcast mentors, says, Ayo, paper not the crash. So now, in the event that we have a kind of situation like this where we are not sure whether we'll be able to use this digital identity card all the time, what happens?
So you know that depends on a number of factors. Network failure, your location, internet penetration, but 5G is coming up.
Sorry, sir. Unless you are telling me that there is no 5G at the airports,
I wouldn't know what happened.
It must have been, my point is, it must have been a back-end fault.
It's possibly so. You know, I mean, by virtue of my training, I mean, he who affirms must prove. It may have been, yeah.
I am affirming now, and I'm proving it didn't happen.
Back-end fault. But the good news is that it's working. We're starting. And people who are knowledgeable about stuff like this are being put in, you know, a round peg
in round holes.
Round holes. The lady who has just been given the appointment as DG NIMC knows her onions. She's technology savvy.
Well,
and some of these issues can be solved. But as I've said, identity without integrating into address will not go far. Now, it would have been nice to have a card as your name, but it's expensive.
No, I get that. So my point is, I am agreeing with you that technology is the way to go. Look at it. Once I showed it at the airport that this is my
national identity,
bring out your form of identification, and I swing this out, so I'm good to go.
So we will get to a stage where we're going to marry this with your voter's card, with your name. If you have digital address that is encoded with QR code, you can begin to think about how to vote from home. Things are happening.
Okay.
And that's why I'm involved in this advocacy.
How long is all this going to take, Mr. David?
Well, I'm not government. But don't forget that.
You must have an idea.
Yeah, don't forget that when we started GSM, we started from 2G, 3G, 4, Edge, GPRS. Today we are 5G. Today we are 5G. How many years down the line? So we just have to start and make sure we do it right. Otherwise, it will just be walking out in the very wrong direction.
Mr. Adegwe, you are beating about the bush. Because I know that all these things have, maybe not a rigid, but they have some kind of sell-by date. We must achieve this by.
So you're talking to a wrong person because I'm not in government.
But you are involved in this.
A private initiative.
Okay.
So there are unforeseen challenges that you would, when you are coming with a novel and revolutionary initiative. The journey of transformation is long, tortuous, and frustrating. And you just have to start.
Okay, we've started. But the Nigerian is getting tired of, you go here, you are asked for your fingerprint, and you are asked for your photograph, your this. You go to the next place again, they want your photograph, they want your fingerprint.
Let us do what they have done in Ghana. Ghana's national card, you use it for your bank, you use it for voting, you use it as your ID, you use it for traveling, because all this information are embedded there. But they couldn't have been able to do it, and I want anybody to challenge me, without the introduction of national digital and property addressing system driven by Dr. Mohamed Baumia, the vice president of Ghana, who had worked in World Bank or a technocrat. So he understands the dynamics. So we need to put guys who, the president of Nigeria, you can't take it from him. He understands the dynamics. All the issues are clear to him. If he had been allowed, when he introduced Enron, to be powered ordinarily by gas in Egbe, but it had to be powered by diesel in Ijora, and it became very expensive because the government of the day at that material time never wanted to hear anything about state government going into power. What has happened now?
Where are we now?
Okay. On there. You talked about square pegs being in square holes, but they also have to be the right sizes. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. But communicating this initiative to people is, how easy do you think it'll be? Generally, my apologies, I'm coming there. Okay. Generally, in every, please, let's take our heads away from this studio right now and from Lagos and put it somewhere in Kafanchan, in a rural area somewhere. This fellow has no idea what this whole digital whatever we're talking about is. How do we communicate it to them?
Communicate with him in our local dialect. The person that pioneered or revolutionized digital addressing all over the world is Chris Sheldrick. I signed a memorandum of understanding with the company when I was Postmaster General of Nigeria. Swahili, English, Hausa, and all of that.
But Mr. Adegboye.
1 second, please. So I can answer Ayo's question. The addressing initiative that I'm doing, I also come with a package and give to channels. We have videos in Yoruba, in Hausa, in Igbo to tell people how to go about it. Gradually, we will get there. It's not rocket science. If Uduma works in Kenya, if it is working in Ghana, come on, it is just because that we're not getting our priorities right. But I know one thing about Nigeria. We're always leapfrogging. Look at the robust GSM system that we're using. Look at our payment system. We started very late. Our payment system is much more robust than that of the US. For good reasons, because US will not want to do your kind of payment system because of security. Identity is crucial for security in Nigeria. Guys commit crime because of anonymity. But if you follow the path, what we are talking about, you are going to take the facial recognition of anybody whose address you want to confirm. You have identity, you have the picture of the house. People will know that. Think twice before you commit this crime, because you are going to be fished out.
But Mr. Adegboye, you are talking to a people who are skeptical about everything government to start with.
Good.
Then two, there are a people who suspect you when you say you want to do census. They are suspicious of what you want to do with the information you're going to collect from them. So they don't subject themselves to you.
Add to that the political permutations. So everything is political, so to speak.
So where do we go from there? Trust is a vital ingredient of social governance. We're at ground zero. The only way we can go is up. I don't have any other country that I can go to. But when you begin to say that, I want to do this, you are doing it, Nigerians will trust you. Look at this palliative that we're talking. I'm talking to some governments that, look, you can do this better, okay? Give people, first identify the poor. Let me give you a scenario where, an example of how you can engender trust. I want to give you a palliative. I tell you, download this digital address. You download it. It has Lagos, it has local government, it has your unique number, and the palliative I want to give to you is a bag of rice, okay? Package it. Put his or her digital address that you're giving to him or her and the unique number, and get NIPOS to go and deliver to him or her. That you would have a social register that is trackable, that is auditable, and people can, on the comfort of their home. How many people have been given palliatives? Facial recognition, no two facial recognition are ever the same. So if you do that to him or her, you begin to trust that, oh, this government.
Okay, you begin to build trust.
Just a quick one. What if you said digital address, I understand, but what if
put it together?
Social identity and address. What happens when you move house?
Good. Because this address will be validated. Address is geolocated. It doesn't move with you. You're going to inform the appropriate authority you are moving, okay? And the place, another place you are going to, already has an address waiting for you. Download it.
So what if I don't want you to know where I am?
Anybody who doesn't want government to know where it is dodgy.
Exactly.
Yes. And government has a responsibility because of security. I mean, you travel abroad, or you don't want the British American government to know where you are, and you are giving them your passport. So it is people who are dodgy that will say that I don't want government to know where I am.
But you know it can happen.
I do agree with you. But you begin to educate people. For goodness sake, do you know that addressing is the constitutional responsibility of local government? And the local government can say that, it's just for instance, all the SIM cards issued by Airtel, by MTN, the addresses must be validated. Why are people changing SIM cards here and there? Because they procure SIM cards with fake addresses. Let me give you an example of how digital identity addressing is very important. I was discussing with the Nigerian ambassador to Ethiopia, and he said, oh, Mr. Adegbu, this is a brilliant idea. Somebody from South Africa ingested drug and used Addis Ababa as maybe to change
Korean nation,
to change airline or whatever. Unfortunately for him, he died.
Ouch.
Why do you pity him? He committed suicide. So when they searched his belongings, they saw his passport. That's a means of identification. When they went to passport office, the address there, Genje. So I'm going to call out some people. Let the Honorable Minister of Interior know that addresses for passports must not only be digital, but they must be verified and validated by going to the locals. I've been involved. Look, both private sector and public sector
running out of time
are to blame. Do you know that banks, under the KYC rule, they have responsibility to verify people's addresses. But they hardly do. They don't go to the locals. You know what? The compliance officers are making money from it. I can say this because I was Postmaster General. Anybody who wants a debate can come. We need to set agenda for government. We need to call some people out so that when people who are in the private sector are blaming government when they are doing worse things.
Okay, well, Mr. Adegbu, happy International Identity Day.
Thank you.
I think, like you used to say in literary and debating in those days, I believe that with all these points, you have convinced us that an International Identity Day is necessary to our being.
Thank you, Auntie Alero.
Thank you very much, Mr. B.C. Adegbu, former Postmaster General of Nigeria and a legal practitioner. Thank you very much for coming to enlighten us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.
Passionate about changing your country for the better? Do you think you can make this change with a profitable business? Here is your chance to win a grant of 30 million naira, mentorship from an industry expert, and access to an exclusive network of business leaders. We are looking for ambitious, dedicated social entrepreneurs to take part in our exciting new business competition show, Fund It Forward. To apply, go to www.funditforward.tv. Fund It Forward, a Channels original series.
Nwaanyị dị mana nwere nwaanyị ka ibe ya enyerebe eje ọrụ ofe anya ji isi ụgwọ nwa ọma eji eje mba ọ dị be eze nwa m ede m ụkọ anya pụrụ onugbaje bọs na abịrịba nwa m ekene m gekene m go ọ ya dị
You're my melody, my sweet baby, the one where they make my heart go jim jim and shake body. See, I promise you, you go chop money. The love way you give me so, and I don't really. The queen will own my heart, the crown upon my head, the essence of my life. Oh, you know me more. The queen will own my heart, the crown upon my head, the essence of my life. Oh, you know me more. Like milk, never lost an angel when you came to me. You're so amazing, baby. I have to say it twice. This love you give me so unadorably. The queen will own my heart, the crown upon my head, the essence of my life. Oh, you know me more. The queen will own my heart, the crown upon my head, the essence of my life. Oh, you know me more.
Sounds like we're just going to have to introduce this conversation this morning because it is quite a heavy one. Remember we had that conversation last week with Kingsley about stemming the spate of suicide and all the things that he told us, particularly the addictive behaviors that young people usually have, which are not known to their parents. And that is part of what we are talking about this morning. What are the healthy habits? We know about harmful habits, and there is a conversation that we should have around substance use. I mean, you were dead shocked last week when you heard some of the revelations that came out. And by the way, the feedback that Kingsley gave was that if his phone is still ringing as we speak, as a result of that conversation. It is a very important one because parents have an arduous task on their hands concerning their young. So we know about harmful habits that young people have. What are the healthy habits they can defer to when they feel depression, feel anxiety, and all those things? Well, let's have this conversation this morning. Begin the conversation with Joel Uzamere, who is CEO of Institute of Exercise Professionals. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We started this conversation, and we know about harmful habits, substance use, addiction, sexual, stuff, tattoos, and all those other things. By the way, there is a video I saw. I need to go and watch it. What happens when you tattoo? I'm going to have to watch that video. So help us understand, first of all.
Some young people have tattoos all over.
No, that's their dress. Yeah,
yes.
That's their dress.
Yes.
So help us understand what these habits are and what are the things
the healthy ones.
Yeah, and what are the things that create such hunger in the first place?
Well, so when we talk about things like addictions and the vices that you have a lot of young people have, it's really not a conversation that just one professional or one health professional can have, because it's a combination of both physical, physiological, social, and even the societal well-being of where they are. So what is the culture saying in that society? What is approved? Who are brands endorsing? What kind of culture are people saying it's all right? And it stems from there. People see other people and how they look, and they want to look like that. But speaking about it from the point of fitness or exercise and how that affects addiction, one of the things you will notice for those who are been around a while is that our schooling system has changed now. There's now a lot of concentration more on mental fitness, the ability for your child to get A's, okay? And that is more important. So the child goes to school at 5, leaves the home at 5, gets to school, whatever, and studies all the way. He or she has another class, they call it lesson. Why? Because really, daddy and mommy are actually not around. That's the reality. So they have to do that lesson till maybe 4 o'clock because they want to pass. Then they get home, they have to now do the homework of the school. Then they watch TV, screen time, and then they eat and go to bed. And that's their life. And then you're asking why they're not influenced. So at that point, look at the scenario I just painted to you. What part is the parents playing in that kid's life? Where is the physical activity? Where are those things that remove boredom, that doesn't allow kids start looking for things to explore and to do? And so when you talk about this conversation, there is the physical fitness aspect, which in short, we have to start to hold ourselves accountable. Parents need to ensure that, they are not just looking for A students, but they are looking for, brilliant. Not just, I'm not saying the students should not be brilliant, but it should be holistic. Your child also should be healthy, and all this is coming from, you see, children, young people that are obese, they are depressed. They want something that they cannot get because the other person has it. And so they begin to look for what can help me to suppress this depression. And of course, their parents don't have a clue. Because he leaves the house at 5, the wife is off, and so they're eating junk food, destroying their lives. Or they have bad friends, and so they're going for parties, and the guy or the lady says, try this to make me feel good. And they take it and they feel good. And then that is the norm for them. That is all they've known.
Because all they wanted was just to feel good.
Yes.
Peer pressure.
At the end of the day, that's really what they wanted. They were depressed. And look at where it's coming from. Because there's a lot that exercise does for you. Exercise helps to stimulate your mind. I'm sure you've heard of endorphins and all those other things that the body does for you, where it boosts your morale, your self-confidence.
Now, this thing that you just said, a friend of mine just said it one day. What's she talking about? So she said she generally just had this not so good feeling about herself. And then she decided, let me start working out every morning.
Yeah.
And she told me that after every walk or workout, that's a tiny bit intense, that she feels good.
Fantastic.
So I help us understand how that happens.
Fantastic.
And if it is possible to be addicted to that kind of good habit.
Fantastic. I mean, fantastic. And anything you do that makes you feel good, you kind of want to go back and do it again. Okay? And so, the way the body is made, so you have a phone, you didn't make it, there's a way that operating system works. The way God has created the body, it's that it functions best when it moves. That is how it is created. So we have what we call neurotransmitters in the body. There are chemical reactions that happen in the body when you exercise. Even cortisol that's released in the body when you are stressed. Yeah, that stress is because it is an unwanted stress. There's a level of stress that your body needs to get better, but it is those exercises that helps to ensure that you don't feel stressed up to a point of depression, for instance. And so your friend nailed it, in the head, because the fact is, when you move, when you exercise, you feel good. And where I always scream and I have to shout most of the time is that you can get a reverse effect if you over-exercise.
Yeah.
Which is.
So how do you then know at what point to stop?
I've said this here before. When you want to get your car fixed, you don't go to a vulcanizer, do you? You go and pump your tire there. If you want to fix your health, you go to a qualified, certified trainer. The person knows exactly how to measure intensity. They are not measuring intensity based on how well they can do the workout. You see people are going, let's go, 1, 2, they are screaming over the place, but you don't have that energy, you don't have that age, your joints are not as like his own anymore. So it is that measurement, it is that prescribed exercise that helps you do that. And we'll keep saying these things till people get it.
But that's too cumbersome. Sorry, just 1 second.
Yeah.
You talked about you gave an analogy of someone who just said, take this, and the person feels good. And that's it. Now, you're talking about having to put in work into feeling good. I don't want to put in any work to feel good.
No, so let me give you the idea. So when we were, well, let me not say when we were in school, because we are not mates, but
well, you can say when you were in school.
Yeah, but the point is, if you look at the way the education system was before now, everybody had an activity. Whether it was see that 10-10 that they were playing, and they were jumping from one box to the other, and there was time to play, and to fall, and to roll, and even to cut grass, depending on where you went. There was time to play rugby. Before, sport was a big thing.
Yeah.
Now, that is the exercise I'm talking about. Now, I don't want us to change the conversation away from young ones and how they get into such addictions, even sexual addictions. And the problem is that our school system is becoming more academic in nature, more
than education.
Yes, than the holistic education. or the holistic
which
training.
included play.
Yes.
Exercise.
Yes. And the ability to use your mind. And I was talking to somebody, he said everything is now franchised. You have this idea that children cannot play, there are no toys. How? All the creativity that we had, where we had paper planes and all sort of stuff, is literally gone. Because there you have to buy toys. So even the toys is indoor. So the boy is not jumping all over the place. His muscles are not growing, he's not strong, and he begins to feel depressed, but he doesn't know how he's going to tell mommy. And then he goes to school, and one of his friends says, if you're feeling down like that, my father, what he does is that I see him take cigarettes. So the father of the other one, of course, giving a bad example of what healthy living should be, and they say, smoke is a small thing. There's weed. Secondary school students are smoking with constant normal. It's a normal thing.
No.
And they get addicted to that. It's not enough. They move to pills. It's not enough. So they are living that lifestyle of always being high.
Now, where this is all coming from for me is the parents.
Yes.
You know, I have a fear. And I've spoken to my kids about this. That their generation is dangerously endangered.
I agree with you.
Because now we're talking about these now. Most of the time, their parents are not even aware that these things are happening.
They're not even there.
Shibi is the person that is there that will be aware. So how do we get the reality of the parents themselves are there?
Yeah.
We had a conversation with someone once who talked about intentional parenting.
Okay.
Now
we're talking.
How do we get to a place where the parents are aware that these dangers are existing right under their roofs? There's one of the feedback that we've received from last week's episode was that the woman called our guest and said, look, I don't even know how to, my kids can't talk to me, doesn't want to talk to anyone. And you have just highlighted what the problem is, that they are distant and they don't even know how to express what they are going through. So they go to the next best thing that can give them this.
Their peer.
It's their peer.
So how do we do parents begin to address these issues? Because the future is endangered if we don't.
I'm happy you've mentioned this, because the truth is, if we say what the problem is, the question is, are people ready to take the remedy? So, from what the kids eat in the morning, everybody's now doing fast food, Abi. So you get there, you pour one brand into one bowl, you put milk, Abi, you stir, and you eat. Why? Because you have to go out, you have to go out. So I'm still, if you notice, I'm going back to what people are eating. If you notice, I'm going back to what they are eating and not just their friends. Because when you feel down, you need something. That's where they need that. So look at the food that we are eating today because we're in a hurry to go to work. So that's there. Now, if one of the parents, which is for a natural order, we had that before, where a woman will say, you know what, instead of working 12 hours, I will work 4 hours. I'll be back home by 2. That is what we had before, where people will say, you know what? So people now, you say, okay, instead of, thank God for the internet, instead of taking a job where I have to sit at work, I will stay at home. You're not staying at home because you want to cook. That's not why you're staying at home. You're staying at home because your children may want to tell you about that friend that I started using lip balm. That's the last conversation I have with my wife and my daughter. This lady that uses lip balm. If I tell you how old my daughter is, you will almost fall down. The conversation is already there, but my wife is there to say, okay, really? Oh, that's, well, be careful, because this is something for adults. And the mother or the parent is the one communicating to the child what life is all about. Whether you like it or not, parents have a greater influence on their children than anybody else. That's number one. Number two, when you fix the gaze on your children on entertainment, they are learning how to be women, how to be men from musical videos. They are learning all these things from movies, and you are busy at work. Just take a glance at the music videos and all the things that are on there now. Why won't they want to do what those people are doing? I mean, I'm trying my best not to shout. But parents they think that life is all about taking a child to a great school and having a nice car, put the driver inside, and then you drive the child to school, and then you've raised the child. No.
Just last week, our guest was saying that the children will now tell the dad, don't come
bring
with
that
the Honda.
car.
Yes.
Bring the Mercedes.
Yes. I don't know what's wrong with us.
Anyway, let's just get to the conversation.
So let me just say something. Parents are the number one people who are responsible for children. After that, you can move to the school and say, what are the schools doing about it?
We have to manage our time.
Yeah.
What role does sleep play in this? Is sleeping part of the good habit?
Yes. So great. Thank you for bringing me back. So a couple of things that will help you to not begin to crave for things and all that. Of course, sleep is number one. But when a child comes back from school and is able, or a young person is able to sleep on time, because they are well rested, they don't wake up tired and fagged out. And then they are looking for things that can help them feel strong. You know what young people are doing? Energy drinks. From energy drinks, you will move to something else. Because very soon, by the time you destroy your kidney and all that, you will start to look for something else that will help. So, yes, sleep is part of it. So let's just talk about the good things that will help and not bring about addiction. Number one, exercise, endorphins, and other new chemicals that helps the body and helps you feel good. It helps you really feel good. You feel strong. You feel accomplished. I was doing 10 push-ups. Now I can do 15. Great. You feel wonderful. And of course, research shows that exercise helps with your cognitive ability, and that's ability to remember stuff, to read, and to develop and to want to learn more. That's one. So you do exercise. Secondly, is what you eat. You are literally what you eat. So if these young people are eating healthy, they're actually eating healthy, it also affects them. Okay? They don't feel, imagine somebody feels bigger than usual. Maybe the person is obese. Immediately, there's a problem with self-esteem. Yeah. They don't feel like, they can wear that dress. They don't feel like they can speak like other people. And they begin to have this peer pressure in school, begin to have issues and stuff like that. So food is very important. And obviously, sleep is key. That the person has enough hours of rest so that they are able to then live that healthy life.
Okay, help me get this. What are the healthy habits that young people who are dealing with a lot can escape into?
Thank you.
In terms of working out and all those things, rather than taking the counsel of their colleagues or their peers who would introduce them to substances that are not healthy for them in the short or in the long run. What are those healthy habits that they can escape into when mommy and daddy are fighting or some things are happening to them that they can't talk to anyone?
So there are some that I will mention where you need to be a bit careful about, and because of the sedentary lifestyle that comes with it. There is some benefits to gaming. I mean, playing games. It has some benefits. Of course, the minute
playing video games.
Yes, it has some cognitive benefits. But of course, anything you abuse becomes a problem, obviously. So that is something that people can do, not, of course, restricted and planned, and it can help them because the way games are, you have to finish a particular level to move to another level and all that. Of course, there are many issues with the gaming because I'm anti-screen for children. I'm purely anti-screen. Personally, my children don't watch TV till it's holiday. Okay? Now, so that is one thing. But another thing is your kids finding what they love. So let me give you an example. My kid may not love playing basketball or football, but he might love carpentry. And so what to do is in your surrounding, look for a place where your child can go 2-3 hours, 2 hours, maybe 3 times a week, and go and learn a skill. Okay? Now, that has been lost. It used to be there before. My dad actually trained us that way, where he said, just learn something. So that time, instead of having your mind, you're just sitting down, there's nothing to do, you can go to that man or that woman and learn how hard it is to make money. And learn how that if you are not in your right senses, you can't do business. And learn how someone who doesn't have the opportunities that you have is doing well with their business. I mean, you begin to learn a lot just by being in places like that.
It's interesting. My apologies, because we're running out of time. It's interesting that all of these things are factored into fitness.
Yes, it's activity. If you notice, it's activity. It's activity. So I'm not asking the children to go to gyms, because even in the gym there's a plaque that says children are not allowed. I'm saying let them run, let them jump,
let them play.
Let them play. They broke that thing, yes, and it's part of development.
Yes, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, well, that's how. If you allow them to play, there's some compounds there.
I bought it at an auction.
There's a compound that one plot. 14 families are living there. Okay, that's exaggerated, but let's say, like 4 families are living in one plot. They are going to break your glass, normal, if you want them to play. So at the end of the day, what you do is you want to look for an environment. Whether it's your school, when you're picking a school, you want to think about it. This school, is there a playing ground here? Do they have a swimming pool? If you can't afford that, do they have a field? Can my children run around and play and tumble? Now, we are saying these things, and you may say, oh, but I don't have this. It's your job. You are their parent to look for those things. You're looking for a house. You're looking for, okay, even though I can afford this expensive place, but because I want space for my children, I will take this other place, so that they can play and be able to do that. So those are the kind of things a parent should be thinking about, because it's activity. Get your children to keep moving.
I started by saying that we are beginning the conversation because you talked about children, and they come in different grades and categories
and talents.
Ranges. There is a 5-year-old and less. There is 5-year-old to 12. There is teenage.
The most difficult.
But thank you so much this morning for giving some perspectives and hope some parents have taken some learnings from them. Joel Zamere is CEO, Institute of Exercise Professionals. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Home stretch is coming next, and I understand he is a he.
That's enough information for now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Tolu Afilaka. And Mr. Yinka, I saw you on Big Brother. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask, when Big Brother just finished, when they want to start Big Brother Africa, shall we not get work in here? But I'm a Covenant student, but I want to come from a perspective of the Christian kind of Big Brother. Imagine there's a Christian kind of Big Brother. What will be the name? Let's call it Big Father. Instead of diary room, we'll have holies of holies. Instead of ninja, we'll have angels. Instead of parties, we'll have worship nights. Someone like, let's imagine Bible characters in Big Brother House. Someone like Daniel, he'll be able to read the writings of the wall, and then he will win the head of house games. Someone like Elijah, they'll disqualify him because of his anger issues. Someone like Jesus Christ, they'll evict him, but after 3 days, he will come back into the house because he'll surely rise again. Then if you are looking for the condom in the house, ask David or Solomon, not them.
How much for this price?
Yeah, man, I want 5. I don't tell you, I want 5. If I be you,
Oga, take 600, make I go.
To be with Obina. What are you? Who is Obina? Why you always Obina? What do you mean by Obina is your best friend? What do you mean? What? You always do. I try my possible best to make this now.
Oh, Oga, say I'm rushing. I rush.
Last price. You are only one baby. This point. Me, boy. You are what?
Violence is never the answer, guys.
If you are being no green,
what you need is a laugh.
You guys have not heard. Tolu Afilaka is having a show on the 24th of April. And guess what? He's going to feature various artists. Jokes on You 5.0.
Like Davido and Wizkid.
So you come and see first.
Wait. It's a Sharon.
When you come, you will know now.
Rihanna.
I say when you come, you will know.
What does it entail? What's that?
Yeah, so apparently it's on 24th of April at the auditorium around 2 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. You should go. Yeah. I mean, you know that this relationship is not going anywhere, but it's so hard to laugh. Yeah, after this, we'll break up.
Yeah.
Yes, you decided.
Anything shall come for the show.
Okay.
Jama, you buy. Jama.
I come.
You think so they're wise?
What's up now? How you
fine.
doing? Yeah, I promised you tickets for Jokes on You, and it's about time, man.
Yeah, I'm so excited, but baby, I'm worried. Like, hope you won't have to go hungry, because I know your budget.
Don't worry, I can stop. It's anything for you to stop, just to make you feel all right. It's okay by me.
Well, that was our artist. And he's right here with us. I'd like to welcome Tolu Afilaka.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Good morning.
Thank you, Ma. It's great to be on Sunrise Day, even though the sun did not rise.
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
This is the elder brother of Sunrise Day.
Oh, even though sun did not rise today.
Well, is it still raining?
Yes, it is.
Oh dear.
Heavy.
You know, let me report this guy to you. Well, you know, he was supposed to come last week before the, but we had arranged the previous guest, and then he's put it on his status. He said, "They say I'm artist of the week. What have I done?"
But it's very true. I think I should be the youngest. Because I went through some videos. I saw Alibaba, I saw Damola, I saw Forever. I said, me?
Oh, we've had a 19-year-old.
Oh, you've had a 19?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm the second youngest.
No, we've actually had that kid.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
She's about 13
You're
or
right.
less.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, then I'm the third.
Welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Let me begin.
Yes, sir.
Is that uncompleted joke?
Can I just finish introducing him?
Sorry, don't.
Thank you. Mr. Afilaka.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
He's a stand-up comedian. Please note the Mr. He's a stand-up comedian, an actor, a writer, and a master of ceremony. He studied civil engineering. Oh my God, here we go again.
No, he's now constructing jokes.
Yes, very correct.
He studied civil engineering at the Covenant University.
And he's using it to construct jokes.
Oh dear. Welcome to Sunrise.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Can I now?
Good. You may now shoot.
That uncompleted joke.
Yes,
about the drone.
That's why I just like this, because in that video, I think I wrote this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You must finish. We want to hear the end of that joke.
Okay.
So start from
the beginning for those at home.
Okay, I think it's important for us, because technology is taking over the world. So I think it's important for us to also, let the other side of people know that there's something called technology, because some people are not really updated. I was in church recently, and these tech guys were trying to cover the entire church, and we had some cleaners cleaning the church. And then I just greeted her. I said, "Mommy, Carol." She said, "Carol." I said, "Yes, ma." Next thing I heard was, "Jesus." I said, "Ah." I said, "Mommy, what?" Next thing I saw, she was turning. Ah. I said, "Mommy, I need to is Joe." She said, "Iro. Oloro, you did go. Oloro, you did. Otu fategu." And then she left the seat. So that's the end of the joke, sir.
So yes, sir. The drone was chasing. How has it been for you?
It's been an amazing ride. Like I said, honestly, I never expected I would be here.
First of all, Covenant University is not a public school. So just putting it out there. And to study civil engineering there, you definitely needed, Sorry. How did mommy and daddy take it? When you decided that rather than construct...
So I faced a lot of panels. My uncles, my aunties. But you see, look at them, all these people. They are not, you need to have something that you can lay your back on, something in case this thing does not go well, so you can live a fulfilled life. But I had something I see. I like seeing people happy. I love seeing people, have joy. I know what it means not to be happy, especially in a place like Nigeria when a lot of things are happening, And I've always lost this feeling since I was maybe 11. Yes, when I saw a comedian at the Living Faith Church, I know he was performing, and then, Bishop Widibo was almost falling off his chair. And then I heard a voice say to me, as at 11, that you can do better than this. And then I started it. But from then on, I realized that it's different from being funny in class and being funny on stage. Because the first time I went on stage, I failed woefully, man. I felt so bad. So and then I realized
How so? You were nervous?
Yes, I already prepared the jokes. I've written everything. I said, okay, I'm going to come on stage. It was Valentine's Day. I was going to come my secondary school. I was going to come on stage and go to kill it. And then I got on stage and I was just talking. And everybody was just looking at me. What's happening? Like, take this guy away from here. I did. So I realized that there's a professionalism to this thing. And I actually got to realize from Alibaba that you have to read a lot. to be a comedian, to be an artist.
I was at one of those events, Spontaneity.
Yes.
I don't know whether it was the one that you were at, but first of all, tell me about your experience
My
at
experience at
Spontaneity.
Spontaneity. That was my first ever. I've had people, go on and on and on. People were like, don't worry, just forget about it. You cannot do it because that's the holy grail of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Being funny on the spot. So I skilled the first stage, the second stage, the third stage. So the final stage, I got to pick a topic, helmet, and I froze on stage. I just said, okay, at least I've gone this far, and I just started talking, and then nobody laughed. I said, you all know I've been funny since morning, right? They said yes. I said, but helmet me here. The hall erupted. Ali Baba stood up, he was clapping, everybody was doing Davis.
Helmet me here.
Yes. Everyone was, and I knew this Ide body. It's Abinibi.
Now, you also now said something about reading.
Yes.
I had a side chat with Ali Baba, that day that I went there. Out of, I don't know, maybe about 10 people that came out,
yes,
only about 3 or so made some sense to me. I mean, I'm sorry, I've been in broadcasting, media and entertainment for long enough to know good content.
Yeah.
So I was sort of like, don't these people read? Because even as an undocumented comedian, they would drop something and say, what up? And these guys would draw dry. I was like, come on. If you only listen to news or read the papers, there are jokes on every page.
Yeah, there's literally jokes on everything. Yes,
but how easy is this thing that I just said?
Like I said, Google has made everything easy. So when I was young, I want to last in this industry. And so I started, Googling how many of all these guys in the Western world did it, the whites in America and the UK. And I realized that a lot of them actually read a lot. Because if you don't read a lot, you can't write a lot. And you need to write a lot of content. Gone are the days where you crack, you get one man, you get one guy. Now, so who is the guy? You understand? So I started reading, and the more I read, my horizon was getting broadened. I started writing more realistic jokes. Like I have a joke about the Queen. Should I say it? Okay. So I had a joke about the Queen when she died. It was a global news. The news shook the whole world. Everybody was posting the Queen as if they know her, especially in Nigeria. That was the worst mistake for the news to get to this country. One of my cousins posted, "Mommy, we miss you. We are told we can't wait to see you." This my cousin stays in Akute. My own mom, she's watching. She posted on her status. She now put Oriki. She now put soundtrack. I said, "Mommy," she blocked me. I thought that was enough. And that's okay. Since everybody's posting, it means that this woman is my grandma. I said, okay. I posted Queen Elizabeth, 1926 to 2022. One boy now asked me, "She don't die?" I said, "No, she's contesting election." I just can ask the 40th question. So that's a very realistic joke. And I had to read a lot. I had to understand how the Queen operates when she died. I had to know that in 1926 because somebody can ask me like, she didn't die in she wasn't born in 1926. So reading helps you to broaden your horizon. You can relate more. And I don't just look forward to being in Nigeria. I look forward to stepping into the outside world. So if I don't know what's going on over there, then I'll just be a local champion.
So the people, okay, you want to go ahead?
Yes, so this civil engineering that you studied, why civil engineering when you knew you were going to be a comedian?
Okay, there's a point in every, adolescents.
Don't forget that mommy and daddy are watching.
Yes, maybe they will understand now. There's a point in every adolescent's life. There are some things we like, and there's some things starts to wear off as we grow up. It just starts to leave you when you grow up. I won't say civil engineering left me, but when I was young, I loved structures. I loved going on the Third Mainland Bridge. I loved seeing skyscrapers on the island. At the back of our house, I used to construct, try to make things work. And I said, okay, what goes in this line? I saw civil engineering and I went to study it. Little did I know that I wouldn't be constructing, to be constructing me. So I got to realize that everyone has their own place. I met people in my class that were better than me. I did well, I did my best, but I got to realize everyone has their own place. And the Bible says, let each one abide by its own calling. I was very strong in comedy when I was in school. I became a celebrity on campus, people see me, hi, Tolu Afilaka. And I was like, this civil is not civil that brought me here, it's comedy. So that's it. But one thing I really want to say is that I really appreciate my parents for sending me over to Covenant University, because Covenant University helped me to meet more people, understand life from a different perspective. It helped me to grow a community. A lot of them are watching now, so the streams are always there. So that's basically it.
That's your joke at Spontaneity, the one that we first played.
Yes.
I'm just trying to imagine that you get to heaven.
Amen.
David and Solomon are going to come for you.
They will come for me. I'll mention more that they did. Okay, David and Solomon. Hey, they are bad boy. They are bad. David that he left his wife. His wife went to marry another man, and then he now told that man that he wants to start his wife back. He should go and bring him back bring her back for him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's reconciliation.
No, he ordered that go and bring her back. Since she's married, he said no. Otherwise his head will be cut off. David is one of my role models. There's Solomon.
Okay, so this is your industry. We have about 4 minutes to go. This industry, what do you make of it as an industry in which you are a practitioner and you are aspiring to grow?
Our industry is, to me, our industry is at the beginning phase. Yes, we have done a lot in the industry, but there are a lot of young ones now getting into the industry. There's another set called the New School of Comedy, and a lot of us are now understanding what is attainable. We have podcasts, we have movies, we have comedy writing, there are comedy magazines, we have cartoon comedy. So we have literally just scratched the surface, and many of us now are looking forward to doing lots more things like comedy specials. Like I think SLK was here some time ago. So this is a lot of things that are still not done in the comedy industry, and that's what we are actually attaining to do. Alibaba, UK Bakasis, they have done so much for us. They have laid the foundation for us, and it's just left for us to build on it, because you can't take them away from the equation. They have done so much for us. The spontaneities and everything.
How about the challenge? Okay, go on.
What's the competition like?
It's very competitive. But one thing that will stand you out in my industry is originality. If you are original, if you have your own jokes, if people can know you with your own jokes, if you are just another type of those people, you won't really last in the industry. But if you're original, one thing that stood me out, like somebody told me, I think it was Basket Mouth recently, was like, I like how you use English to tell your jokes. That helps. Just like Damola as well, he uses English to tell his jokes, there's a whole new kind of people that are cracking jokes like that. So if you can stand out, if you can be different, if you can carve a niche for yourself, you definitely thrive in the industry.
And the challenges?
The challenges, one of it is we need people that can promote stand-up comedy. Promotion for stand-up comedy has actually gone a little bit low. Hardly those days, when I was growing up, I used to see stand-up Night to 1,000 Laugh and all those stand-up Nigeria on TV like regularly, African Magic and all. But it's not like that before. So we need more people to invest in the stand-up comedy industry and promote it on their platform on social media as well.
Though of course we have some. The Alibabas have their shows. The AY Forever. Yes. From time to time they all come up with these shows, right?
Yes, they have all these shows, but sometimes it's not really easy for a lot of young ones like us to be on those platforms because we still have people ahead of us, But if they can, invest in young ones like us as well, because we have some, like my comedy club jokes for you. If people can come in and say, okay, how can we put this on platforms for you to stream, for people to be there?
But you can put them on platforms yourself.
On YouTube.
You can put them on YouTube.
We need to sponsor them. And it's not really easy because stand-up comedy is like an entrepreneur, There is no other place you're getting funds from except you do shows. So if you get people to be like, okay, can you advertise my stuff on your show, on your stuff, then we can have leeway.
Okay. So you've given us a clue, but then what are we to expect from Tolu Afilaka? Is that your stage name, by the way?
Yes, my stage name is Tolu Afilaka. I got that because, over there they have Kevin Hart, Eddie Murphy, and I was looking for a stage name when I was quite young. I was thinking, okay, maybe use MC. I said, no. Why not just do Tolu Afilaka? And then I stuck since then.
And that's your real name?
That's my real name. My full name is Iyola Afilaka Tolu Alashe Oluwabusayomi.
Don't even.
But if I use that name, I will be here.
You won't sell. No.
So, what are we expecting from
my name will be long name. It's a long name. What we're expecting is. I have a comedy club, Jokes on You Comedy Club. It's a place where comedians can come out to test their jokes, and build an audience. I'm also working on the
Where
podcast.
is that place?
I don't have a particular place, but I used certain venues. Okay. Then we have the event. I'm starting a podcast. It's called That's My Time Podcast. I'm trying to document the history of comedy, like in a library form, in an organized form. So that's why I'm doing the podcast, where we can interview the Alibabas, those guys. And so if younger ones like myself are coming up, they can always listen to it for reference and how the industry. So those are the current projects I'm working on. And I'm also working on building a studio. Very soon it'll be out. It's going to be at Festac.
I see that you also do flicks, comedy,
what's that?
Skits.
Yeah, I do comedy skits. Yes, I like doing comedy skits. I did Papa Benji as well. That's a series. I did Visa on Arrival as well. That's a series for Bovi and many others. But I'm more of a stand-up comedian.
Okay. And business has been good?
Yes, business has been going well. I thank God for someone like Damola. Damola is my mentor, and forever. Damola is someone that has given me a lot of platforms. He's always just calls me on phone and told me, I want you to go to this place for me. That's the benefit of having a mentor. You can leverage on that, and then people don't question him because they know him. So
and
they
he
just
staked his integrity.
Exactly, staked his integrity.
We could go on and on because these young people, you can be very intoxicating.
I've done one thing again. I was a manager to a magician. Yes, I felt so bad when I was in university. Before I started doing stand-up comedy, I was a manager to a magician. I felt really bad, and we had to break up.
What happened?
Ask me why. I saw the boy in the carryover class. How can you turn water to wine? Cut
And
orange,
then you cannot pass exam.
I cannot turn F to A.
I feel like a stand-up comedian, actor, writer, and master of ceremony. Thank you very much.
Engineer constructing jokes.
Before.
No, constructing jokes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming on Sunrise this morning.
Thank you so much, man.
And that rounds up Sunrise for today. We'll see you again next week. My name is Alero Edu. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. It rained today, so be careful.
It's still raining.
Still raining. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye for now.
In the unwritten pages of extreme opulence lies a well-tailored art of contemporary living. Comes another breathtaking architectural masterpiece, a waterfront property masterfully created by a visionary team of world-renowned architects crowned with premium fittings. Leonardo is about to offend every iota of mediocrity with Fendi. The Leonardo now sells at a 25% price off. Forget every notion of luxury you've ever known. Own the Leonardo.
Coming up on Metrofile this week, we witness the union between Blessing and Frank as family and friends gather to celebrate with them. We will also be going to Anambra State for the dedication ceremony of Christ Church Iferiorafite under the Diocese of Nnewi and the remembrance organized for late Pa Godfrey and late Ma Irene Okwosa. Also on Metrofile today, a memorial service held in honor of the matriarch of the Oshin family, late Mrs. Adekweju Olufumilayo Oshin in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. It's a brand new edition of Metrofile this week, and we're ready to rock and roll as always. So I hope you're as ready too. This is how we help you begin your weekend. So come with us. Let's celebrate today. But please watch out for flash photography while you get on this ride. Once again, welcome to Metrofile. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Let's begin right here in Lagos with a beautiful wedding ceremony between two lovebirds. We're talking about Blessing and Frank, a union that brought together the families of Efeogene, Okpaje, Ogbere, and Osai. Take a look.
Friends, family, and other well-wishers of Dr. Frederick Efeogene Okpaje, Mrs. Okemona Ogbere, and Mr. Albert and Mrs. Clara Omodi Osai gather for the celebration of the joining of their children, Blessing and Frank, in holy matrimony. And the first half of the celebration is at the Tabernacle of David Church in Lagos.
For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh.
There is only one God. There is only one King. There is only one